Dragon Ball Super Exposure. I am a Super Saiyan. Chapter 101-120. Chapter 101-Shock. Zamasu's immortality. You asshole. Trunks rushed in front of Zamasu, and the strength of his body continued to rise. You bastard. Zamasu's face was gloomy, and then he punched Trunks. Crack. But what was shocking was that Trunks directly held Zamasu's fist firmly in his hand. Impossible. Zamasu was shocked. He didn't expect that he could not beat the opponent. Bump. Trunks threw a quick punch and hit Zamasu on the cheek. PFF'd. Zamasu vomited blood from the pain. He couldn't believe it. How could a mere mortal hurt him? Ha da 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 da. Trunks didn't hold back at all. His power continued to grow stronger, and the golden yellow continued to expand with the power of lightning. The speed of his shots was getting faster and faster, and Zamasu was caught off guard. Zamasu wanted to fight back, but was blocked by Trunks. Bump. In the end, Trunks kicked his knee and flew Zamasu out. Sky Cannon. Trunks did not hesitate, and then bombed out directly at the opponent. Boom. A huge bombing spread, and the next moment, Zamasu's figure was drowned in the explosion. Trunks gasped for breath, his face pale, and then he thought of something. He hurriedly looked at Wukong, and wanted to help. And suddenly, Wukong also exerted his strength at this time. Zhuangquan. Ha! Wukong shouted loudly, and then, an astonishing force burst out, and the blue light was wrapped in a red coat. Ha 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 ha. Wukong exerted his strength for a while, and suddenly the black Wukong's power bounced off, fell into the distance, and exploded directly. What? Black Wukong's eyes narrowed, and he looked at Wukong's posture with some seriousness. King Fist. He can feel that the power of Sun Wukong has increased several times. Wukong was also panting, and at the same time slowly calmed his breath, then looked at He Wukong and said with a smile, I have to admit, you are indeed very powerful, and you have been able to push me to this point. Oh, humph. What? Is it possible that you still have the courage to face me? With the way you look like you're dying now. He Wukong sneered. Wukong's figure slowly lifted into the sky. My biggest ideal is to always meet an opponent who can make me excited, so you are indeed suitable. Rival. Ha 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 ha. Sun Wukong, you really opened my eyes. But, I'm sorry, in my eyes, you are not qualified to be an opponent. You, and all the Saiyans, are just my stumbling block. Forget it, I will kick you one by one. Then I will destroy humanity. I will punish you for being disrespectful to the gods on behalf of the gods. He Wukong laughed wildly and said sarcastically. Monkey King's face suddenly turned indifferent. As a god, you should have benefited the universe and eliminated threats that are harmful to the universe. In this respect, even the god of destruction, Lord Beerus, is much stronger than you. Shut up. You are not qualified to criticize the gods. To the universe, you humans are a threat. The wars are all caused by you. So the ultimate culprit for the disappearance of civilization is you humans. He Wukong's face darkened. You are really annoying. Destroying human beings, this kind of practice, in my opinion, is endangering the universe. Therefore, I will never let you go. Wukong exploded in vain, and exerted his Kaiwanquan tenfold. Degree. The combat power is directly bursting. Although Beerus-sama said that he has a bad temper, he will accidentally destroy something, but he will be normal when it should be normal, and he will never be crazy like Goku Black and Zamasu. Thinking of this, Wukong was a little worried. Zamasu in the world he was in, he didn't know what tricks he would come up with. He didn't know if Zamasu who fought against Trunks was in his world, but Wukong felt that no, because the gap between the two is too big. Without thinking too much, Wukong pressed down, and then, he rushed towards Black Wukong. He Wukong obviously felt the strength of Wukong at this time, but he was not afraid at all, because the stronger Monkey King, the stronger he will be. Bump. The two start to fight. Incredibly fast. Super Saiyan Pink. Power is not as simple as it seems. It has far surpassed the Super Blue. On the other side, Trunks picked up his sword and suddenly felt something. and then he slammed into the ruins. Next second. Boom. With a loud explosion, the gravel flew around. Zamasu's figure appeared directly on the field. He had multiple scratches on his body, and his face was distorted due to anger. Bastard! How could it be? You mortal! How could you hurt me? Zamas couldn't believe it, and roared fiercely, and then he rushed directly to Trunks. Chi! Trunks snorted coldly, and the next moment he burst out with his sword in hand. Puff puff puff. Zamas condensed the chi sword in his palm, and after fighting Trunks for a few rounds, his moves were already a bit messy due to his anger, and Trunks also sees the opponent's weakness to counterattack. You devil! You don't deserve to be a god. Trunks lowered his body and stabbed the sword in his hand. Impossible. Zamaston was horrified. At this time, his mind was cold and he woke up instantly, but it was too late. Puff. Trunks' sword pierced Zamasu's body directly. Zamas's eyes widened, but there was not too much panic in his eyes, only anger. Trunks drew his sword and quickly retreated to the safe area. When Trunks looked happy, he didn't expect to defeat Zamas so easily, he was a little surprised. Win? No, you didn't win. Suddenly, Zamas looked at Trunks with a calm expression. What? Trunks' face changed, and then his eyes widened, because he saw that Zamas's wound had healed. Healed? Impossible. Trunks lost his voice in shock. Nothing is impossible. I am a god with an immortal body. You can't win against me at all. Zamasu smiled evilly. A mere mortal makes the gods angry, and you die without regrets. Damn it, you bastard! Trunks shouted angrily, and then he gathered his energy violently, finally. Flash! Boom boom boom. In an instant, Trunks raised his breath to the highest level. Ha! Terrifying energy shot out directly. Run towards Zamasu. And the latter turned out to be grinning, and suffered such a blow without escaping. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and then Zamasu's breath disappeared. Success! Trunks wondered, but soon, he noticed the anomaly. Not dead. Zamas's figure was revealed, and he was unscathed at this time. A mortal body. Trunks couldn't accept it. He wouldn't die. Wouldn't that just hang up? Chapter 102-Comeback. Zamasu is alright. Trunks' face sank directly. The immortal body of the other party is too perverted. Can't kill at all. Humph. A wise mortal. You have to pay for your actions. Zamasu's face was hideous, and then, he suddenly disappeared in place. Trunks was startled and subconsciously raised his hand to block. But in the next moment, a huge force came, and he was instantly knocked out. Brush. Zamas's figure appeared behind him again, and the energy bullet in his hand was fired without any hesitation. Boom. There was an explosion, and along with Trunks' screams, a dazzling light spread out. The smoke cleared, and Trunks fell to one knee, steaming from his body, and coughed violently. The opponent's sudden strength made him a little hard to resist. This is the price of angering the gods, Zamas said indifferently, and then he stretched out his hand at Trunks, ready to deal with him. Call out. Ha! Suddenly, Goku's figure suddenly appeared in front of Zamasu, and then he kicked him away. Zamas flew out directly, and finally stopped forcibly. Sun Wukong. How is that possible? He was a little shocked. Wasn't Sun Wukong entangled by Black Wukong? Why are you still free? Uncle Wukong, Trunks said in surprise. It's okay, Trunks, Goku said worriedly. It's okay, I'm careless. Trunks stood up with difficulty. Be careful, Zamasu is immortal. Wukong looked at Zamasu. His eyes were a little dignified. A mortal body, it's a little troublesome now. Zamasu looked at Sun Wukong and immediately said, Why? Why did your power increase so much? Wukong glanced at himself, and then said lightly, As this. This is called Zhuangquan, and it can increase my strength by multiples. This way. Zamasu's face became serious. He, Zhuang Fist, the power is really strong. It can make me feel severe pain. Sun Wukong, you are very good. At this time, the figure of He Wukong slowly fell to Zamaz's side, but he clutched it. There was some pain in his chest. Just in the battle with Sun Wukong, he was not the opponent of Sun Wukong who had used Kaiwang Fist, so he was suppressed all the time. Black Goku. Trunks' face suddenly turned cold. Wukong looked at Black Wukong, and immediately exclaimed, "Unbelievable, even the King of Kings boxing can't solve you. He has already performed the tenfold World King Fist to the limit. In fact, he has been able to use a stronger World King Fist, but there is no way, he can only perfectly control the tenfold World King Fist. The physical consumption is huge. Humph, your level is indeed a huge threat to me, but the pain you give me will only make me stronger." He Wukong laughed frantically, and then he shouted violently. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the pink breath directly skyrocketed. At this moment, the power of Black Goku was also raised in vain. How could that be? Are you kidding me? Both Trunks and Wukong's expressions changed greatly, because the aura of Black Wukong was no longer at the same level as before. He, I have to say, Sun Wukong, I really want to thank you for the improvement of such a powerful force. He Wukong said, intoxicated. Damn, Wukong's face was hard to look at. An immortal body, a strength that continues to increase with the battle, how to fight this kind of enemy. Let's continue our game. He Wukong grinned, and then the pink light all over his body condensed into a chi sword, rushing towards Wukong. Wukong shouted angrily, exploded his anger directly, and instantly displayed the World King's fist to the extreme, facing the Black Wukong. The two collided fiercely again, but this time Wukong was unable to suppress Black Wukong, and the opponent's strength was constantly improving. As if there is no end. Zamasu's eyes moved, and the next moment he had appeared in front of Monkey King. Attack it! Wukong was shocked and quickly resisted Zamasu's attack, but after all, his fists were no match for four hands, and he saw Black Wukong slashed with a sword. Goku hurriedly dodged, but a wound was still cut. At the same time, Goku Black hits Goku with his kick, which is full of strength. Wow! Wukong's figure immediately retreated and smashed into the ruins. Uncle Wukong. Trunks' face changed, and then he burst into a rage. He broke through the Super Tournament 2 in an instant, and charged at Black Wukong with his sword. He Wukong smiled jokingly, but did not dodge. Trunks was in a bad mood, but at this moment, Zamaz appeared in front of him, and Trunks' sword was directly inserted into Zamaz's body, but the next moment, he was severely hit by Zamaz. Fist. Yuck. Trunks vomited directly, and after receiving a few punches, he suddenly returned to normal and fell directly in front of Zamaz. Zamaz looked indifferent, pulled out Trunks' sword, and threw it away. At the same time, the wound recovered quickly. A mortal who can't handle himself. Zamaz disdained, then raised his foot and stepped directly on Trunks' head, constantly rubbing. Ah! Trunks could only scream, but he didn't have the strength to stand up. Stop! Zamasu! Wukong suddenly rushed out and punched Zamasu. Call out! Black Wukong stopped him, and directly grabbed Wukong's fist. What? Wukong's expression changed. Hee, what's the matter? Your strength is so much weaker than before. Yes, I understand, your posture should be extremely exhausting, right? Look at your appearance, your strength is exhausted. He Wukong looked at Sun Wukong jokingly, and immediately shot like thunder, punching Wukong in the stomach. Ah! Wukong was in pain, and before he could react, he was thrown out by Black Wukong. Bump! The body slammed on the ground. Wukong was unable to maintain the king's fist, and returned to Super Blue. How could? Wukong struggled to stand up, and he was about to start again. But suddenly, Zamasu kicked Trunks away, and then slammed into Goku. Wukong's expression changed, and then he punched fiercely, but Zamasu didn't hit Wukong head-on. He twisted it directly, his hand had already grabbed Wukong's arm, and he successfully released his strength. At the same time, Zamasu suddenly imprisoned Goku firmly. What? Wukong was startled, not understanding what the other party wanted to do. But soon, he understood. Swish! He Wukong didn't know when he had gathered his chi, and suddenly he hit a turtle qigong. How could it be? Do you want to die together? Wukong was horrified and glared at Zamasu angrily. Zamasu did not speak, and was submerged in this powerful force together with Goku. Boom! A huge explosion suddenly exploded, and a huge crater appeared in the field. In the giant pit, Wukong has become normal and fell powerless. And Zamasu, there is no injury. P.S. Remember to remind me if there are any typos, because the code is too urgent, so there may be typos. And if you can't watch Friends, just give up. I'm too lazy to watch you complain, I'm tired. Chapter 103_Be saved. Defeat and flee. Complete defeat. At this time, Wukong and the others have lost their ability to fight with Black Wukong and Zamasu. They are not opponents of the two at all. Okay, the game is over, prepare to disappear. He Wukong and Zamasu slowly lifted into the air, and then they condensed two energy bombs at the same time. The power was enough to destroy everything. Unfortunately, as a tool for my power enhancement, you can only live here, Sun Wukong, goodbye. He Wukong looked at Wukong, who fell to the ground, and said jokingly. But, damn, Wukong's body moved. The huge pain made him unable to move, and he didn't even have the strength to stand up. Hee hee, alright, go to hell. Call out. Boom. Suddenly, an energy wave shot out directly, and even Black Wukong and the two did not react. Suddenly, an explosion sounded directly. Take advantage of now, Yakilobe. A weak voice sounded, and at the same time, an afterimage passed by in the field, but it disappeared soon. At the same time, Goku and Trunks also disappeared. Call. In the smoke, He Wukong waved his hand and immediately dissipated the smoke, and then their eyes turned to the field, their faces sank. Damn human beings. Acting as a demon at this time. They discovered that Sun Wukong and Trunks had disappeared. Ran. Vegeta. Black Goku looked at Vegeta with an indifferent expression. The energy wave just now was launched by Vegeta, but at this time, after consuming his remaining power, he lost consciousness again and fell down. Forget it. They can't run away. Let's get rid of Vegeta first. Zamasu said with a normal expression. Makes sense. He Wukong said lightly, and then stretched out his palm towards Vegeta, the energy directly condensed. But at this moment, several sounds sounded, and the two of Black Wukong were startled, only to see a few smoke bombs explode directly, and the field was blank. Damn, small human beings. Unexpectedly, from the smoke, Zamasu's roar came out. But it was too late, because when they regained their sight, there was no trace of anyone in the field. How is that possible? He Wukong quickly lifted off, sensing their chi, but failed. Asshole. Ellipsis. On the other side, somewhere in a dark basement. Bump, bump. Leaving the severely injured Goku and Trunks behind, Yakilobe breathed a sigh of relief. I'm exhausted. Thank you, Yakilobe. Wukong is also very grateful to this friend. Yakilobe said lightly. Small meaning, after all, the protagonist only shoots at critical moments. In fact, he panicked a lot in his heart. He understood how terrible Black Wukong was, but when he saw the dead Wukong suddenly appearing here, he could only take a risk. Of course, he also understood that this was not theirs. The Goku of the world, the Goku of this world has long since died. Archilobe, where's my dad? Trunks asked suddenly. Yakilobe turned to look at the entrance. It should be almost there. Not long after, there was a movement not far away, and a group of people led by Xiao Wu came quickly, and two of them supported Vegeta, who was unconscious. Dad, Xiao Wu. Trunks' face changed greatly. He was obviously happy to see his father being rescued, but after seeing Xiao Wu, he was completely dumbfounded. Is Xiao Wu still alive? How come? Is this dreaming? Trunks. When Xiao Wu saw that Trunks could no longer hold back, she threw herself into Trunks' arms. Ah, it hurts. Trunks cried out in pain. I'm sorry. You're still alive, I'm so happy. Xiaowu quickly apologized. Trunks looked at Xiaowu with tears in his eyes. Xiaowu, you're still alive. It's great. I said, you are. Wukong looked at the two with some gossip. He didn't expect Trunks and Xiaowu to get together, which was outrageous. Both Trunks and Xiaowu were a little embarrassed. Okay, flirt and go to a safe place first, it's still very dangerous here. Yakilobe said in a timely manner. Everyone also knew that after a while, they left this place. Ellipsis. On the other side, in the air, Black Goku and Zamasu were searching for the breath of Sun Wukong, but they failed. You can only feel a few human breaths. Sun Wukong and the others seemed to have disappeared out of thin air. Hei Wukong's face was a little unsightly. Humph. They should have been dealt with long ago. Zamasu's face was also stinky. Don't worry, they will definitely come out, just wait and see. Hei Wukong said lightly. Who can be spared the people the gods want to kill? He. Wukong and Vegeta came to the temporary operation base established by Xiaowu, and there were not only the army they formed, but also some surviving people. When they saw Wukong and Vegeta, they were seriously injured, and everyone was a little bit nervous. Despair. Even the rescue soldiers invited by Trunks lost. What did they use against Black Goku? For a long time, in order to appease these people, Xiaowu has been telling them that Trunks is going to rescue the soldiers, and she firmly believes that the rescue can definitely defeat Goku Black, but now, even the famous Monkey King has lost, which shows how much it has caused them. Impact. You guys have a good rest here and regain your physical strength. We don't have much to eat here, so you can take a moment. Xiaowu suddenly came over, holding some water and coarse grains in her hands. These things are their life-saving straws here, but they have to take them out now. Thank you. Goku and Vegeta both know the difficulties of these people, but they really consume too much. Until now, he and Vegeta didn't even have the strength to stand up. Terrible. By the way, Yakilobe, do you still have fairy beans? Wukong suddenly looked at Yakilobe. The latter shook his head. No more. Since the cat fairy died, I originally had a little bit, but I ate it to fill my stomach. Wukong. Vegeta. What about the current situation? Xiaowu asked worriedly. Trunks could barely stand up, walked over and said, there is no other way now, but to return to the past world first. Uncle Wukong and Dad both need healing. No, if we use the time machine now, it will reveal our position. Wukong said with a grim expression. How do you know if you don't try? But that's the only way, you can't wait to die here, right? Vegeta said lightly. Finally they decided to go back. A few hours later, Goku and Vegeta were barely able to move. Although Trunks was seriously injured, he was much better than Goku and the others. Coming to a hidden place, Trunks took out the time machine and prepared to go back with Goku and the others. At the same time, in a pavilion, Hei Wukong suddenly felt something. It appeared. Zamasu, who was sitting opposite him, said indifferently, okay, let's start the destruction plan. P.S. While I'm still alive, I'll try to let you guys watch more, and I'll be busy soon. If it changes back to a few chapters at that time, don't scold me. I'm so afraid that you will get used to the current update speed, and then you will scold me when there are fewer updates. I'm so afraid. Writing novels can't make much money, and I have to work part-time. Life is not easy. Some people who don't like to watch and can't stand watching don't need to chase them. Give up as soon as possible. Don't chase after scolding ugly words. You can show me every time. How good to everyone, nourishing the liver. It is easy for me to update 5 or 6 chapters every day. If you think it's the original book, it's good to go back and watch the anime. There's no need to tear it up here, and jump out from time to time, for fear that people don't know that there is someone like you. The above is aimed at individuals, and I am sorry for affecting readers and friends to read books. Chapter 104 _ Crisis Time. Luya and Kaiwang God save the field. We have to go back quickly. It's not easy to Black Wukong and the others, we have to think of a good countermeasure. Wukong said helplessly. Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks all got into the time machine. However, before their buttocks were hot, all of a sudden, several streams of light rushed in. Suddenly, there were bursts of explosions all around. What? Xiao Wu and the others suddenly became terrified. It's not good. It was discovered. Wukong and the others also struggled to get out of the time machine. Woohoo! A few seconds later, Black Goku and Zamasu appeared above them. It's really easy for us to find it. Son Wukong. Hey, Wukong gave a grim smile. Damn it. This is not good. Wukong's face was ugly. It's hard to escape now. Now he and Vegeta don't have the strength to fight again. Trunks is also half disabled, not to mention the young people like Xiao Wu. It's getting cold. Oh, I didn't expect that there would be an unexpected harvest. Humans, where can you hide this time? Zamasu looked at Xiao Wu and the others expressionlessly, with a murderous look in his eyes. Humans, what he hates most is human beings. Of course, seduce Saiyans. If it weren't for the fact that he needed the power of Sun Wukong, he would never have changed his body. Xiao Wu, you go first, Trunks said solemnly as he stood in front of Xiao Wu and the others. No, Trunks, I won't leave you. Xiao Wu knew that if she couldn't escape this time, then Trunks would definitely die, so what's the point of her life? Enough, none of you can escape, go to hell. Hey, Wukong stretched out his hand towards them, and the yellow-black energy balls condensed. Damn it. Goku and Vegeta watched this scene helplessly. They didn't expect that they would be planted in such a place. And just when they were about to start, suddenly, the sky suddenly split open, and a huge hole appeared, accompanied by a beam of dazzling light, breaking through this endless night. Who is it? Black Goku and Zamasu's expressions changed, both watching this scene in disbelief. Someone came through time and space too. How is that possible? Zamasu suddenly thought of something, his eyes narrowed. Immediately afterwards, several figures descended from the hole, and the light gradually became illusory, revealing their appearance. Seeing them, everyone was stunned. Lord Zhuangshan, Luya. Wukong couldn't help but lose his voice. Teacher, how is that possible? You are not dead. Zamasu and He Wukong both looked shocked. The people who came were Luya, the realm god from the 7th universe, and the old realm god from the 10th universe. The three fell to the camp of Wukong and others. Meet again, the 10th universe old realm king said to Wukong with a slight smile. Why are you here? And Luya? Wukong smiled, a little surprised. Smiled slightly and said, we have confirmed that Zamasu is the initiator of this incident, so Lord Beerus destroyed Zamasu in our time and space, and he is not at ease here, plus this old world at the request of the king god, I will come with them. Was Zamasu killed? Goku was a little surprised. In the air, Zamasu's face was ugly. Then why does this Zamasu still exist now? Vegeta asked suddenly. This time and space is not the same as the time and space where we are, so even if Zamasu in our place has been killed, it has no effect on this place, and, maybe I am in this time and space. No, there are other gods, all sacrificed. The old realm king said indifferently. It's just like the androids of the past. Even if the androids in that world have changed, the androids in my world are still evil, and I killed them. The androids over there are still alive and well, even ant number 18 is married to Uncle Krillin. Trunks suddenly realized. That's right, that's what happened. Luya nodded. In fact, he also wanted to confirm it, but now it seems that this is the case. However, the current scene made him a little surprised. Looking at the situation, Wukong and the others were just about to take the time machine to return, but they were discovered by Black Wukong, which was a bit unexpected. And Luya quickly discovered that something was wrong. The power of Black Goku has become so amazing. The old god of the realm glanced at the endgame, and then said, fortunately, we arrived in time, otherwise you will all be killed by my student. It's a sin. He looked at Zamasu and said with a serious face, Zamasu, stop here, if you can admit your mistake, things will turn around. Admit it. Ha 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 ha. Teacher. It seems that you are still old. My purpose is to destroy the entire human race and make these war-making garbage disappear into the universe. And now you see, I am only one step away from success. As long as these unsightly guys are killed, the entire human race will cease to exist. Zamaz laughed wildly. It's really rotten wood that can't be carved. The old Realm King's face sank, and he snorted. Zamaz was able to destroy the future world like this, which is something he never thought of, and the other party's ambition is so big. If Beerus and the others had not arrived in time, he would have been cold. Only then did he see the true face of Zamasu. It turned out that he had already seen that Zamaz's behavior was wrong, but after his teaching, Zamaz can be regarded as recovered, but in fact, he thought too much, this kid is pretending. Originally, he also wanted to train Zamaz into the next generation of the Realm King. At that time, such a selfish Realm King was not qualified to become a realm god. This time, he traveled through time and space to make Zamasu persuade him to stop being obsessed. At that time, it seemed that the other party was helpless. Hum. Are you finished? If so, let's get rid of you guys first. It's just a pot. Hey Wukong suddenly laughed evilly. Humph. It's just trash taking other people's bodies. You are so arrogant here, you're laughing to death. Luya looked at Wukong He and said jokingly. What? Black Wukong's pupils shrank. Luya smiled, then took out a bag of fairy beans and threw it to Xiao Wu. Give them to eat. Xiao Wu nodded, knowing what it was, and hurriedly fed Trunks and the others. Luya looked at Wukong He and said, your body was originally Wukong's. What? Wukong, who had just eaten the fairy bean, was stunned when he heard this. So what? Black Goku boldly admitted. Hee, you noticed Super Dragon Ball from the match between Universe 6 and Universe 7, so you asked Zuno about related things, so you found Super Dragon Ball and wished to swap your body with Zamasu's. Your soul is Zamasu himself. Luya pointed at Black Wukong. Hee, you guessed it right. However, there is no reward. Hey Wukong laughed. Not only that, you also directly killed the Wukong family, and even Chi-Chi and Wushan died at your hands. Luya said coldly. Why? Wukong's mind went blank, and then the surging anger began to rise. Ha. Don't you think this is very funny? Being killed by the person closest to you is such a wonderful art. Hey Wukong couldn't stop laughing, full of ridicule. Black Wukong, you bastard. Suddenly, Wukong's anger had reached its peak, and he instantly transformed into Super Blue and rushed out. Chapter 105 _ Luya joins the battle. Transform. Super Saiyan, Red. Ha. Wukong, who had just been resurrected with blood, directly transformed into Super Blue, and his power has skyrocketed much more than before. Saiyans have always had a characteristic, that is, after passing the self-mutilation method, their power will be greatly improved. The power that burst out is even more brave than before. And Wukong is not just improving his self-mutilation method, he is now extremely angry. Chi-Chi and Wushan can be said to be his inverse scales, and this damn Zamasu not only took his body. He even killed Kiki and the others with his body. This is simply beast behavior. Anger makes Goku even stronger. The strength is not weaker than that of the king of the world. Snapped. However, Black Wukong easily grabbed Wukong's fist and showed a mocking smile. What's the matter? Your anger, is this power? I'm so disappointed. You bastard. Wukong roared. The next moment, he exploded in vain and broke free from the shackles of Black Wukong. What? Hey Wukong was startled, but before he could react, Wukong punched him. Boom, boom, boom. Black Goku's figure directly retreats again and again. Wukong didn't give the opponent a chance and rushed out. Zamaz, who was on the side, immediately wanted to help. Where are you looking, Zamaz? Vegeta suddenly rushed over and punched Zamaz directly. The latter's complexion changed, and then he became embarrassed. Bastard. Bump. The two fought directly together, and they fought back and forth. Below, the old king of the realm couldn't calm down. Why is the power of Zamasu so strong already? Lightly, he is not Zamasu from our time and space, so he can't look at each other with ordinary eyes. With that said, Luya looked at Trunks and said, those survivors should be in a bad state. Those fairy beans can save their lives. Trunks nodded. I understand. Xiao Wu. Yes, Xiao Wu understood and left the place with the others. Luya looked at the god of the realm and said, the old god of the realm will be handed over to you. The latter nodded. Don't worry. Luya nodded, then looked at Trunks. Trunks, let's go. Yes. The two rushed directly towards the battlefield. Da 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 da. In the field, Wukong kept grabbing the black Wukong and hitting hard. The opponent was overwhelmed by Wukong's power, and his figure kept smashing through buildings. Call out. Wukong appeared behind black Wukong, and immediately slammed down with a punch. Wu, Goku Black fell directly to the ground, and a huge pit appeared on the ground. Wukong gasped, the anger in his heart gradually vented, and his breath slowly returned to normal. The smoke dissipated, and suddenly, a figure slowly stood up. How is that possible? Wukong's expression changed. He didn't expect that he would not be able to seriously injure the opponent with all his strength. He, not bad. That's it. This kind of pain makes me stronger. Ha ha ha. Hey, Wukong laughed, then burst into a rage, and instantly, a terrifying force erupted from his body come out. Even more powerful than before. This guy, monster. Wukong couldn't believe it, his face dripping with cold sweat. Hey, Wukong looked at Wukong and said with a smile, thank you, son Wukong, you have made me stronger. Wukong gritted his teeth, then burst out again, and immediately attacked him angrily. Swish. But Wukong's fist actually failed this time, and then, I don't know when, Black Wukong has come behind him. Crap. Wukong's face changed greatly, and before he could react, multiple pink beams suddenly shot out of his body. Ha ha. Hey, Wukong chuckled, then snapped his fingers. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the light around Wukong exploded directly, accompanied by his screams. The smoke cleared and Goku fell from the sky. Hey, Wukong jokingly said, innocent, do you think you can defeat me with increased strength? My strength can be infinitely increased. After speaking, he suddenly opened his palm in the direction of Wukong, and then, the energy gathered. Call out. The yellow-black energy bomb shot out directly and slammed directly at Wukong. And at this moment, a figure flashed in front of Wukong, and then he waved his hand and flicked the energy bomb. What? Hey, Wukong's expression condensed. It's you. Who are you? He found out that the person who shot was the one who stopped him from destroying the time machine last time. Luya looked at Goku Black, and immediately smiled. I'm just a passing Saiyan. Saiyan. Since it's a Saiyan, then damn it. Hey, Wukong's face turned cold, and then he gathered strength with both hands and blasted directly towards Luya. Luya, be careful, Wukong reminded. Luya's eyes were condensed, and the next moment he exploded, just using his fist to bounce the opponent's attack away. Swish. Suddenly, Black Goku appeared in front of Luya, punched Luya's right face, and at the same time swept him out with a whip leg. Luya screamed and shot backwards, breaking through the floors. Hey, I thought it was so powerful. Hey, Wukong said in disappointment. Black Wukong. Wukong suddenly rushed up and kicked directly at Black Wukong. The two continued to fight, but at this time Wukong was not the opponent of Black Wukong even though he had been improved by the self-mutilation method. Bump. Wow. Wukong screamed and shot straight back. On the other side, a powerful force rose directly into the sky, attracting the attention of Black Goku. What? Hey, Wukong looked in Luya's direction, only to see a cluster of bright red flames swaying there. Ah! Luya shouted angrily and turned into a Super Saiyan God. What's going on? This is the breath of God. Black Goku and Zamasu who were fighting Vegeta Trunks stopped one after another and turned their eyes to Luya's direction. Super Saiyan God. Both Wukong and Vegeta's expressions changed. Although they knew that Luya could transform into the Super Saiyan God, the opponent's current strength is undoubtedly more than a little stronger than the previous Guoxing on fire. That kind of breath. Why do I have a familiar feeling? Trunks said with a somewhat surprised expression. I don't know why. Luya's power at this time, he seems to have seen it somewhere. Ha 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 ha. After Luya transformed into the Super Saiyan God, he didn't stop blowing his breath, his power was rising sharply. How could that be? With this kind of power, is it possible that Luya is going to transform into a Super Saiyan Blue? Goku looked at this scene in surprise, and even Vegeta's face became serious. How? Black Goku and Zamasu gathered, looking at Luya in surprise. Ha! As Goku and Vegeta guessed, Luya is undergoing a further transformation. But Luya's divine power at this time is more intense than Blue. Chapter 106-Pink vs Super Race Red. Boom! A dazzling red glow lifted into the sky, and all the sky was illuminated. Under the fiery red light, Luya's form has completely changed at this time. His power has reached an astonishing level. But his breath, but only a few people can feel it. Because at this time Luya still hasn't escaped from the realm of God. But it is worth mentioning that his transformation, except for the color difference, is similar to the evolution of Super Saiyan Blue. And this is also called by Luya, Super Saiyan Red. But his power is no weaker than Vegeta and Goku. Impossible. Vegeta opened her mouth wide in horror, and cold sweat unconsciously flowed out. It's a lie, it's not Super Saiyan Blue. Wukong was also surprised, and what surprised him the most was, when Luya could transform. What kind of thing are you? Hey, Wukong looked at Luya, his eyes were already a little dreadful. This state is something he has never seen before. Luya crooked his neck, then smiled. This is a further transformation through the Super Saiyan God, you can also call it Super Saiyan Red. Super Saiyan Red. Hey, Wukong was stunned for a moment, then snorted coldly, how about the bells and whistles? You can't be my opponent. Super Saiyan Pink is the strongest. Really? Is it the strongest? Try it and you'll know. Luya put on a fighting stance. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Wukong and the others also came to Luya's side, watching Black Wukong and Zamasu vigilantly. Speaking of Luya, when will you be able to transform? Super Saiyan is red, looks very strong. Wukong suddenly said curiously. Lu Yado, thanks to Weiss, guidance, I can further break through myself. I see, but is the Super Saiyan the best in red or blue? I'm really looking forward to it. Goku smiled and said. Humph, what nonsense. Of course, Super Saiyan Blue is more powerful. Vegeta said in dissatisfaction. He absolutely couldn't admit that under Kakarot, there were people who were more powerful than him. Each has its own merits. Luya said with a smile. I said, are you determined to win because of yourselves? Hey, Wukong suddenly said. Going. Wukong suddenly shouted angrily, and then he rushed out. Luya and the others are naturally close behind. Chi. Black Goku and Zamasu rushed down directly. Boom boom boom. The war was about to break out, and the collision swayed directly. Even in a 2-on-1 situation, Zama's and Black Goku are not at a disadvantage, especially Zama's side. He has an immortal body, so no matter how Trunks and Vegeta use their ultimate moves, he was not damaged in the slightest. Da da da. Wukong and Luya teamed up to fight against Black Wukong. Due to Luya's transformation, his strength has been greatly improved, so he has joined forces with Wukong, and his strength has reached an amazing level. No matter how Black Goku suppresses it, it's a little bit laborious. Of course, the physical consumption of Wukong who has been injured is very huge, so he can't keep up with the rhythm of Luya and Black Wukong, which causes him to be beaten all the time. Touch. Woo! Wukong screamed, and then his body was blasted back by the Black Wukong. At the same time, Black Wukong is a reflexive chi sword cutting to Luya who is ready to attack. Swish. But in the next moment, the whole body was blank, and the movement stopped in an instant. And when Black Wukong reacted, he could only cut an afterimage. And Luya has appeared behind Black Goku. What? When? Black Goku reacted, but it was too late. Luya's energy cannon took the opponent away directly, and suddenly blasted a huge pit on the ground. Luya burst into anger, and then, he put his hands on his waist. Turtle. Pai, Chi, Gong. Ha. Under the roar of anger, a terrifying energy fell directly, and suddenly, a burst of energy spread out, and the dazzling hemispherical energy wave destroyed and drowned everything in the field. Luya exhaled slightly, then looked down seriously. He didn't think the other party would be defeated so easily. His Super Saiyan Red, different from Blue, is his speed, and his thinking is much higher than Blue. Because Luya broke through this realm, because he has been training himself so that his thinking can keep up with the action, so his speed is much more effective than the Blue, which is famous for its strength. It can be said that Luya transformed into a Super Saiyan Red, and the original intention was to develop towards the ultimate freedom. After the smoke dissipated, a huge pit appeared in the field, and Black Goku's body was embedded in the pit. However, his face at this time did not change, but showed a strange smile. He, that's it. Is this the power of Super Saiyan Red? The speed and strength are very fast. This kind of pain is indeed a man who is not inferior to Sun Wukong. Black Wukong said to himself. I have to say that he was a little shocked at the beginning, because the pink he has achieved now, plus several breakthroughs, his strength is already very terrifying, but it is difficult to capture the opponent's trajectory, and the opponent also has the ability to stop time. He didn't watch out for his skills, so he was plotted. However, this is not entirely a bad thing, because he will become even stronger. As long as the opponent is strong enough, he will also evolve along with it. This is where his Black Goku is the most powerful. Standing up, He Wukong patted the dust on his body and said to Luya, I have to thank you, because of you, I will also break through my limits. Luya's eyes were slightly condensed, and he was a little helpless. According to his Super Red, if the opponent had other enemies, he might be able to pretend, but now it seems that he is facing a more perverted guy. As we all know, whether it is Vegeta or Wukong, after getting a new promotion, they originally thought they could pretend to be a force, but they did not expect to be slapped in the face soon. Goku was slapped in the face by Buu when he became Super 3, and Vegeta was slapped in the face by a cyborg when he became Super 2. I am afraid that only Gohan can make the pretending successful. Luya was not discouraged. He knew that Goku Black was not an ordinary opponent, so he couldn't underestimate him now. Boom. The two looked at each other and exploded at the same time. Two forces, one pink and one red, confronted each other. In the next second, the two moved at the same time. Boom. Bump. In an instant, the two have already fought dozens of punches. Although the power of Black Goku is indeed stronger than Luya, Luya is also using the strongest talent to gradually enter the state during the battle. The integration of thinking and hands-on. Realize the ultimate freedom. Chapter 107 _ The Power of Anger. Black Goku's terrifying power. On the other hand, Vegeta and Trunks are still fighting fiercely, but Zamasu's immortality is too terrifying. No matter what ultimate move they use, Zamasu can always block it easily. And the injury will soon return to its original state. Dad, we have to drain each other's strength. Trunks said to Vegeta. Shut up. I don't need you to teach me to do things. Vegeta's face was ugly, and he couldn't even deal with a king god. How could he be a dignified Saiyan prince if it was spread out? I'll do it myself. You're not allowed to interfere. Suddenly, Vegeta said these words to Trunks and charged directly towards Zamasu. Dad. Trunks was startled, but thinking of his father's character, Trunks calmed down again. However, he is still very impatient, because Zamasu and Black Goku are very powerful, so if they fail, the consequences will be very serious. Let him try it, and if it doesn't work, go and help. At this time, Kavas and Kaiwang Shen fell beside Trunks. Trunks glanced at the two of them, and then asked, Lord Kaiwangshen, Doesn't Zamasu have any weaknesses? Gebis shook his head. Unless you have absolute strength, other bells and whistles are useless. What? Vegeta rushed in front of Zamasu and performed his speed punches to the extreme, so fast that even Zamasu was overwhelmed. Chi. Zamasu took advantage of a neutral position, and an air sword appeared in his hand, and then slashed towards Vegeta. Snapped. However, Vegeta's arm was wrapped by his strength and directly grabbed Zamasu's sword. How? Zamasu's expression changed suddenly. You bastard. Don't be too arrogant. How can I be defeated by you, the evil king of the world, the dignified Saiyan prince? Stop joking. Hit Zamasu's belly. Zamasu's face turned green after taking this blow. The great pain made him look hideous. Vegeta's body suddenly burst out with a terrifying power, and the super blue power has reached a higher level. He was also angry at this time. He didn't think that a realm king could ride on his head arrogantly. His goal was to surpass Kakarot and surpass the god of destruction. How could he lose to such a thing? This is a humiliating ravage to his dignity. Grabbing Zama's hair, Vegeta's eyes narrowed, and he punched Zama's stomach a few times, causing Zama's to spit out white liquid. Swish. In the end, Vegeta condensed light waves in his hands and blew them away at zero distance. So strong. Dad, who was angry, actually defeated Zama's. Trunks said in shock. It's not surprising. To be honest, Zamasu's advantage is his immortality. Although his strength has improved, it should be 5 points in the face of Super Saiyan Blue. Gebis said lightly. In the air, Vegeta let out a cold snort, then heaved his breath, and instantly rushed in front of Zamasu, who was flying upside down. One punch. Snapped. Unexpectedly, Zamasu directly grabbed Vegeta's fist. Mortal. Don't go too far. You rubbish. Vegeta growled and swept out with a whip. Seeing this, Zamasu could only let go of his hand and step back. Chance. Vegeta's expression changed, and the next moment his power rose to its peak. Gesture. Finally. Flash. Boom. With a huge roar, a huge energy wave blasted out directly. Right in the head of Zamasu. In an instant, Zamasu's head turned into fly ash. But just after Vegeta released his ultimate move, a puff of white smoke floated past Zamasu's head, and his head grew back in an instant. Bastard. Vegeta's face suddenly sank. I am a mortal, a mere mortal, how could it be possible to kill me? Zamasu fell in front of Vegeta and looked at him with a calm face. Chi. Vegeta snorted coldly, and then he exploded violently and attacked Zamasu again. Since he was used to Vegeta's moves, it was much easier for Zamasu to deal with it than before. On the other hand, the battle between Luya and He Wukong has fallen into a stalemate. The two also exerted their own level to the extreme. Black Wukong's power is indeed stronger than Luya's, but with the use of talent skills, Luya is also gradually he kept up with the rhythm of He Wukong, and his dodging movements became more and more handy, with a hint of freedom and extreme willpower. Sure enough, I have practiced with Weiss, and it has a bit of Weiss taste. Below, Wukong stood up, but Luya dragged He Wukong, allowing him to get a full rest. Boom. The next moment, Wukong directly turned on the super blue full power. The next moment disappeared in an instant. He Wukong, who was fighting, suddenly felt something, and while grabbing Luya's fist, his other hand instantly raised and grabbed the suddenly appeared Wukong's fist. Humph. Is it teleportation? He Wukong jokingly said. Give me a move. Wukong shouted, his other hand condensed energy bullets. Luya is not to be outdone, the energy bullets have been condensed when Black Wukong grabbed him. At the same time, the two blasted the energy bomb to the Black Goku in the middle. The latter suddenly smiled strangely, and in the next second, he suddenly flickered and disappeared. How is that possible? Luya and Wukong were both shocked, and the next moment, Black Wukong suddenly appeared above them, and a black energy ball fell. Extremely fast. Luya and Wukong didn't react, they were hit by this energy ball and exploded a mushroom cloud directly in the air. Hee hee, Teleportation, who wouldn't? He Wukong jokingly said. The smoke dissipated, and wounds appeared on both Wukong and Luya, showing how powerful each other was. Wukong gasped for breath, and his state was directly pulled down. Luya looked at He Wukong, then took a deep breath, his mind moved, and the red divine power rose again on his body. He Wukong looked at Luya in disgust and said, I dislike you very much, mere mortals, how dare you use the power of God. Luya's posture can be described as an evolutionary version of the Super Saiyan God, not as blue as Goku's blue self-control, he mainly relies on divine power to maintain his own power. Is the power of God so high in your eyes? Luya grinned mockingly. What? Are you doubting the power of God? He Wukong frowned and looked at Luya disdainfully, then dare to ask yourself that you are Zamasu, the realm king, why do you use the power of a mortal son Wukong? What? He Wukong stopped at this time, and then reacted, he looked at Luya coldly. Don't think about messing with my sanity, you, like those hateful Saiyans, deserve to die. Whoa! As soon as the words fell, He Wukong suddenly burst into gas, and then, his power directly condensed in his hand, forming a chi sword. The next moment, he suddenly inserted the chi sword into the palm of his other hand. This is... Luya's eyelids jumped, and there was a bad feeling. Humph! He Wukong smiled evilly. Let you taste what real power is. After speaking, he suddenly waved his hand. Suddenly, the original air sword turned into a scythe. Brush! Black Wukong slashed at will, a burst of knife light slashed out, and Luya quickly flashed. But the next moment, the space where Luya was originally located was directly split into a huge space-time crack. Chapter 108-Fusion Technology. Definitive version of Zama's debuts. With one knife, time and space are split open. This scene can be said to frighten everyone. They did not expect that the power of Black Wukong is so powerful. The more you fight, the stronger you become. This super talent is really amazing. What everyone doesn't know is that the world Wukong and the others are in has also been affected. In the real world, a crack appeared in the sky, and Beerus and Whis suddenly appeared in the air, looking at the crack, silent. After a long time, Beerus said solemnly, it seems that things in the future are a bit tricky. Ellipsis. Ha 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 ha, how is it? This is my power. Can't think of it. He Wukong laughed wildly. Then he looked at Luya and said, I wanted to play with you, but now, you are no longer qualified. Quote. Luya sneered. Really? When the words fell, Luya burst into gas, and instantly, the red light spread, and the next moment he moved and disappeared. At the same time, the space around Black Goku was completely white. His figure is directly locked by the time cage. Flash time. Luya's figure appeared in front of Black Goku, and then he punched the opponent. Crack! But at this moment, Black Goku suddenly raised his hand and grabbed Luya's fist directly. What? Luya was shocked, but when he used his full power flash, he was easily blocked by the other party. Playing time in front of me, you are still too young. He Wukong jokingly smiled, and then the ring on his finger emitted a strange light, and the next second He Wukong took a knee and kicked the road directly. Ya shot down. Black Goku. Goku rushed over, followed by a series of attacks on Black Goku. But it's useless, Black Goku can always dodge Goku's attacks with ease. Shoo! In an instant, the sickle in Wukong He's hand was thrown out. Wukong's heart was not good, and he dodged for a while, but the front body was still marked with a bloodstain, and at the same time, the Black Wukong hit Wukong with his foot, and the latter screamed and shot directly out, breaking through many abandoned buildings in an instant. Huh, I'm not self-sufficient. Now I am not standing at the top, you Saiyans are nothing more than that. In the end, I will let you witness the real power. You should be honored. He Wukong jokingly smiled Road. Luya stood up struggling, and then he looked at He Wukong. The opponent's strength has reached an unprecedented height, and the flash is useless to him at all. The opponent has the ring of the king of the gods, and he can't play the opponent himself. Boom. Huh. Suddenly, A huge collision appeared not far away, but Goku Black frowned. How is it possible? It's just a Saiyan. As he said that, he suddenly used teleportation and disappeared. When Wukong and Luya saw this, they also used teleportation to keep up. Swish. Several people came to the scene and saw the situation clearly. At this time, Zamasu's body was extremely embarrassed, and there were scratches all over his body. Not far away, Vegeta was also injured, but the fighting spirit in his eyes did not weaken at all. On the other side, Trunks is also suspended in the air. His whole body is flickering with yellow light. At the same time, within the golden light, there is a layer of blue divine light. Trunks' power has increased a lot. Zamasu almost killed Vegeta just now, so Trunks ignored Vegeta's warning and started directly, and he temporarily broke through to a new height. The power skyrocketed. What's wrong? How could you be so embarrassed by two Saiyans? Hey Wukong fell to Zamasu's side and said lightly. Zamasu stood up expressionlessly and said coldly, it's just that I was careless. Vegeta, Trunks, are you all right? Goku and Luya asked as they fell to their side. Humph, how could a mere scumbag hurt me? Vegeta said proudly. However, his attention was still on Luya. The other party was all red, which made him feel particularly dazzling. Different from the blue form of the Super Saiyan, it was actually achieved by this kid. How can that be? And the strength of the opponent is not weaker than Super Blue. Yo, Trunks, your form is really amazing. Goku looked at Trunks, a little surprised. I don't know why I have this power in my body. It makes me feel like it can destroy everything. Trunks said with a complicated expression. Anyway, let's solve the enemy this time first. Luya said at the right time. He knew that the main event was coming. Sure enough, Wukong suddenly said, forget it, all the farce should end. The Human Zero Plan, now, it officially begins. What? I thought you were going to use this body. Zamasu said lightly. Wukong looked at Wukong and the others. Although the strength still needs to be improved, these bugs are too annoying. Get rid of them as soon as possible. That's it. Zamasu smiled, then took off his earrings. Seeing this scene, Wukong, Zhuangshan and others suddenly changed their faces. Not good. Can't let them merge, the old Realm King said hurriedly. Wukong and the others' eyes narrowed, and they shot a gas bomb directly and quickly, trying to disrupt their behavior. But Goku Black had long expected that with a scythe, all the attacks would explode at this moment. Meanwhile, Zamasu had already put the earring on the other ear. That's it, that's it. Wukong chuckled, and then he reached out and flicked his earring, and a ripple sounded. Om. Immediately afterwards, the earrings of Black Goku and Zamasu lit up at the same time, and a mysterious radiance enveloped the two of them. Then, the two bodies approached each other, and a burst of dazzling rays of light suddenly radiated, and everyone subconsciously covered their eyes. Oops. The old god of the realm felt bad. If these two guys merged, the entire world and the entire universe would suffer. At this time, a colorful light lit up, and then, a figure appeared in everyone's sight. With white hair, green skin, and green earrings on both ears, the whole body exudes a divine breath. Zamasu. A fusion of Zamasu and Black Goku. Okay, what a terrifying power. Wukong and others watched this scene with sweat. They couldn't feel the depth of Zamasu at this time. The strength of the other party is so huge that they all tremble. How is it? This is the power of God. You guys, it's an honor to see my great face. For a time, the whole body is colorful and dazzling. Behind him, a white halo appeared, and Zamasu's power was constantly improving. Chapter 109 _ with full force. Meet the ultimate Zamasu. Damn it. Zamasu's power is rapidly increasing. Wukong's face suddenly became solemn. I can't let him go any further, or the world will be over. Trunks' face became a little anxious, and then he suddenly burst into anger, raising his state to full power, and suddenly his figure jumped into the air. Fly up. Ha! Trunks didn't keep his hand, and fired a Qigong wave with all his strength. hitting Zamasu directly. In fact, the opponent did not choose to dodge at all. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and thick smoke spread out. Luya looked at this scene with serious eyes. The strength of Zamasu, who has been integrated, is not something that any of them can solve. Sure enough, after the smoke dissipated, Zamasu's figure was revealed, but the other party was not injured at all. How could? Trunks' face changed in shock. Let's go together. Luya shouted, then rushed up. Goku and Vegeta suddenly burst into anger and rushed up. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong. Finally, Flash. The three of them all fired full power level big moves towards Zamasu. The three attacks were combined into one, and their power skyrocketed in an instant. Zamasu frowned, then lightly stretched out a palm, and his body shook at the same time. The next moment, the energy wave was directly blocked by Zamasu. At the same time, Zamasu's face suddenly became cold, beyond one's own ability. Boom! The next moment, the two halos behind him suddenly lit up, and then, a burst of super energy suddenly slammed down towards Wukong and the others. Not good. The three of them were shocked at the same time, because the power of the other party was so terrifying. They had no choice but to give up the attack and dodge one after another. Boom! A huge crater appeared directly on the ground, and in an instant, cracks appeared in the endless ground, and the entire crater was filled with an aura of destruction. It's terrifying. Wukong's face was covered in cold sweat, and the opponent's blow made them have to dodge. It's not an order of magnitude at all. The four gathered together and looked at Zamasu solemnly. Ha, this kind of absolute power really suits me. I am the supreme god. Ha. Zamasu laughed wildly, and then he slowly raised his hands, and suddenly the halo lighted up behind him, followed by red streaks. The spot of light appears. In the next second, Zamasu waved his hand directly, and the countless light spots shot down like beams of light. Puff puff. All of a sudden, those red beams of light directly surrounded Wukong and the others. Not good. Wukong and the others' faces changed drastically, and before they could escape, bursts of terrifying explosions sounded. The explosion dissipated, revealing the scarred four. With this overwhelming force, we can't beat each other at all. Trunks was already seriously injured, kneeling on the ground, weakly said. The situation of Goku and Vegeta is also not very good, and the state of the two of them also has a feeling of reaching the limit. Luya's situation is slightly better, but his face is very dignified. The opponent's strength is simply outrageous. Using the system to detect him, he clearly knows the gap between himself and the other party. Hateful. Obviously he just broke through the Super Saiyan Red not long ago. How did he become a younger brother so quickly? Give it up. Your strength, to me, is insignificant. Just wait to die. Zamasu slowly landed, looking down at Luya. Luya sneered. You look too high on yourself. Oh, as far as I know, your confidence is to control time, right? I have to say, if I had been jealous of you before this, but now it seems that your innate advantage does not exist for me anymore. Zamasu looked at Luya mockingly. The latter nodded. I understand that you have the ring of time and space, so you can easily control time, but I will stop your conspiracy. Ha. It's ridiculous. Very good, then let you see what the real power of God is. You half-baked mortals who can only use the power of God are only worthy of being stepped on by me. Ma's face was crazy, and a burst of colorful light suddenly erupted from his body. Incomparably powerful. Luya gritted his teeth, and then he shouted violently, and immediately raised the super red power to the highest. Jia Wong Fist. 20 times. Suddenly, Luya roared, and suddenly, his power skyrocketed exponentially at this moment. In addition to the red brilliance, the red coat appeared again. Although both are red, it is very easy to tell them apart. 20 times the World King Fist. Luya used the Super Saiyan Red to perform 20 times the King's Fist. This power increase is very terrifying. Even Zamasu frowned. Impossible. A mere mortal. Luya shouted angrily, and the next moment he rushed to Zamasu himself. Da 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 da. Luya's speed was extremely fast, and he punched Zamasu directly. But Zamasu can dodge with ease. It's amazing. It's actually increased the World King boxing to 20 times. It seems that I have to work hard. Wukong looked at this scene with bright eyes, and then he showed excitement, and the next second, he burst into gas. Keep roaring. Astonishing power erupted from Wukong's body, and his combat power also increased rapidly at this moment. 10 times. Zhuangquan ah. Wukong roared angrily and immediately unleashed his tenfold World King Fist. However, as soon as the tenfold World King Fist came out, Wukong's face suddenly looked a little ugly, because in his current state, it would be harmful to the body to use the tenfold World King Fist. But he just gritted his teeth and insisted, looking at Zamasu. Zamasu. I'm here. Bump. In the next moment, Wukong directly joined the battlefield and joined forces with Luya to directly deal with Zamasu. They're all doing their best. Trunks stood up with difficulty, then gritted his teeth and exhaled, urging the remaining strength. At this time, Vegeta suddenly reached out to stop Trunks and said, "Your state is not good enough to be involved in this battle." After speaking, Vegeta suddenly gritted his teeth. Humph. What about Kaiwang Fist? Look at me, Vegeta, surpassing you. Boom. Shish. Suddenly, Super Blue Vegeta burst out with all his strength and rushed out. Trunks felt this scene, and immediately gritted his teeth. The pain and weakness in his body told him that his limit had reached, and he could only do this step. Super Saiyan Blue. Why am I so weak? Trunks suddenly knelt down, his hands on the ground, panting heavily. On the other side, the old Kai King God of Universe 10, Jeevius, and the Kai King God of Universe 7 were hiding in a safe position and watching the battle. Can Wukong and the others win? Kaiwang Shen said with some worry. It's not that simple, Zamasu, he hasn't done his best. Kavas ruthlessly broke the truth. How could it be? Realm King God's face changed drastically. The horror after fusion with Potala earrings. As a Kaiwang God, you should also understand, it won't be that simple. Gebas said solemnly. The Realm King immediately frowned, and his eyes showed deep worry. Chapter 110 A complete fusion of the divine and the mortal. Bump, bump, bump. Boom. In the high sky, a fierce battle is going on. With the addition of the prince, the battle situation has not changed. Zamasu seems to be not serious. No matter how they attack, the other party can easily dodge. Ha, ah, Vegeta roared, and the next moment, he raised his fist and rushed towards Zamasu. Suddenly, Zamasu's face suddenly flashed a playful look, and then he easily grabbed Vegeta's fist. Damn, Vegeta's expression changed, and he was about to start, but the next second, he suddenly groaned, his eyes widened in vain, and his eyes were full of disbelief. Vegeta. Dad. Goku and Trunks' faces changed. Because I don't know when, Vegeta's body was pierced by a lightsaber. And the source of the lightsaber is Zamasu. Familiar recipe, just like the first fight with Black Goku. Haha, I said long ago that you are only worthy of being an appetizer. Zamasu grinned, then reached out and fired an energy bomb, which directly blew Vegeta down. Trunks rushed over to catch Vegeta, who could no longer maintain the super blue and return to normal. Damn, Zamasu. Suddenly, Wukong was furious, and then he slammed out a turtle qigong. Zamasu smiled lightly, and then the halo behind him lit up directly, and then he directly launched a destructive energy bomb, which directly collided with Wukong's turtle qigong. Ha! Wukong's crazy output, powerful chi blessing on top of the turtle qigong, suddenly gained a little advantage. Zamasu's face darkened. How could he not be able to stop the opponent's attack? Impossible. No one told him that he could not easily confront the Sun family. This was a very unwise choice. Zamasu's face was ashen, and he directly increased the power. For a time, Wukong was gradually suppressed. Hey, ah, Wukong's shape is constantly being pressed, and it is huge pressure. Haha, Mortals are still mortals after all. Zamasu sneered, and then a blood cloud suddenly appeared in the space behind him. In the blood cloud, lightning bolts grew, extremely terrifying. Monkey King, accept the judgment of God. Zamasu's face turned ruthless, and several blood thunders shot out from behind him in an instant. Zzz. Hey, Wukong avoided, directly by blood righteousness, the body's body is lost. Boom. At this time, the energy of Zamasu also fell at this time. Wukong directly ate this big move, and was slammed to the ground, and there was an explosion. Wukong. Zhuang Shen's face suddenly changed. Wukong couldn't win, this kid is going to be cold. The smoke dissipated, and Wukong lay in the giant pit, returning to normal, losing his combat effectiveness. Stronger than Goku Vegeta, neither is Zamasu's opponent. Haha, I don't know what it is. Zamasu showed an evil smile. Hey, have you forgotten about me? Suddenly, a faint voice suddenly sounded. What? Zamasu was stunned, then turned to look at the source of the words. Immediately, Zamasu's expression changed. I saw that Luya had completed the gathering at this time, and the terrifying breath gathered in the palm of his hand. He didn't do it just now, just because he wanted to maintain his state to the top, so that he could be sure to break the opponent's defense. Turtle School Qigong. It's here. Boom. Luya roared, and immediately launched a full-power Turtle Qigong. In an instant, Zamasu's body was locked by a powerful qi. Hey, no matter what you do, it's futile. Zamasu shouted angrily, and a burst of colorful energy suddenly burst out, and the halo behind him also lit up. The power of... Boom. A powerful force was launched directly and directly collided with Luya's Qigong wave. Lu Asia continues to output. The Super Saiyan's Red plus 20 times Wang Shu, let his strength reach an amazing level. How can my divine power can't defeat the opponent in a destructive manner? Zamasu once wondered if he failed to use his full strength after fusion. There is no way to easily solve each other. In fact, his power has not completely melted, it may be the resistance deep inside. Because Black Wukong is also Zamasu, but his body is mortal, so when he merges with gods, it takes a price to merge their powers, and this price is that gods merge with mortal bodies, even if the power is obtained a breakthrough has been made by leaps and bounds, but Zamasu's immortal body will also lose its original effect. Now the two of them, their souls have not completely merged. But, damn, is it really possible to get to that point? Zamasudu suddenly said angrily. At this moment, Luya suddenly exerted his strength, betting his whole body on this blow, and suddenly his power doubled. No, impossible. Zamaston's face changed in shock. He quickly released a divine light, condensed into a divine thunder, and wanted to judge Luya. But it was too late. Luya's attack had already broken through the defense when the opponent's divine thunder had just formed. In the next second, the divine light exploded. Zamasu's energy was pushed back as much as possible, and a huge explosion directly drowned his figure. Boom. Under the huge explosion, Zamasu's figure was wrapped in a colorful light and fell. A huge pit appeared directly on the ground. Luya gasped for breath, and the next moment he directly and passively withdrew the power of the king's fist, and his body slowly fell to the ground. Wukong, Luya, the old realm god Kavas and the 7th universe realm god came one after another. Damn, in the giant pit, Zamasu's face was distorted, and then, the halo behind him shattered directly. The next moment, a terrifying force erupted directly from Zamasu's body. At the same time, his other arm suddenly swelled violently, as thick as a monster. It's not good. The attack just now made Zamasu choose to fuse the power in his body. Now he has completely integrated the power of Zamasu and Black Goku. The souls of the two Zamas are also fused together. Gebas suddenly said solemnly. Luya stood up reluctantly, looked at Zamasu's direction seriously, and then said, "One god and one mortal merge, he should not be a mortal anymore." Gebas said solemnly, "You are very smart, but he is still immortal, because he is the main body of Zamasu, but it is far worse than the real immortality. Although he is now possible he was killed, but his power has soared. If you want to kill him, you must have absolute power. If thinking of something, Luya suddenly took out a few immortal beans and handed them to the Kaiwang god, saying, heal them first. In addition, Wukong and Vegeta, the two of you must fuse. Only in this way can we defeat Zamasu. Quote. Fusion. Wukong was taken aback. That's right. It's really possible. It's like dealing with Majin Buu back then. Kaiwangshan suddenly said excitedly. Chapter 111 _ put down your dignity Vegeta. Decide to merge. Ah. Just as everyone relaxed, a terrifying force shot straight into the sky, and then, Zamasu slowly lifted into the sky. The halo behind him was broken, no longer a true god, but a real fusion with Black Goku. The fusion of god and mortal. Because he couldn't maintain his immortality, one of Zamasu's arms was directly mutated, and even half of his face was swollen, like a toad. Although the immortal body cannot be maintained, his power is much stronger than before. You humans, you let me fall to this point. I'm going to die. Zamasu roared. A terrifying breath burst out, and for a while, countless blood-colored judgment blades spurted out, indiscriminately attacking all the surrounding ones and go. Not good. Luyaji people immediately dodged. But the earth was not so lucky. Under these terrorist attacks, it collapsed in no time. Volcanic eruptions, tsunami hits, the surface ruptured and the magma spewed, and the entire earth fell into despair in an instant. I can't let him destroy it anymore. Trunks saw this scene bleeding from his heart. He burst into gas, and directly boosted his strength at full power, rushing towards Zamasu. Luya glanced at Goku and Vegeta and said, hurry up and merge. After he finished speaking, he ate an immortal bean and went straight to full power, using Super Saiyan Red while also using 20 times the King's Fist at the same time. Bump. Luya charged directly towards Zamasu. Trunks, who bore the brunt of the punch, slammed his fist at Zamasu frantically, but the latter did not move and let him strike, as if the opponent's attack was not even a tickling for him. Suddenly, Zamasu looked at Trunks, and the next second, he teleported and appeared in front of Trunks, punching the latter's stomach with a punch. Ah! Trunks' eyes widened in vain, because Zamasu's power made him unbearable. He. In the face of the wrath of God, you are no longer qualified to play, Trunks. Zamasu laughed playfully, and then his thick arm directly clasped Trunks' face, using his own just threw it down after spinning the center at high speed for a few weeks. Boom. A huge pit appeared on the ground in vain, and Trunks spit out a few mouthfuls of blood, and his breath became weak. Spike. At full power, he is not at all an opponent of Zamasu. Zamasu sneered. Suddenly his face changed, and then he turned around and punched. Suddenly, Zamasu met a fist. It was Luya's sneak attack. Time stands still. How could a mere mortal do this? You have offended God's wrath. You must not exist. When I came out, I was shocked, and Luya was shocked to fly. Luya stopped quickly. He exploded again, condensed 2 energy bombs in both hands, and then played the prince's tactics. Boom boom boom. For a time, Zamasu was directly drowned by a burst of smoke. No smoke. Luya stopped his attacks, knowing that these attacks had no effect. Sure enough, before the smoke dissipated, a burst of energy had already dissipated. Zamasu looked at Luya blankly, and then said coldly, I'll get rid of you first. After that, he rushed out directly towards Luya. Luya was not to be outdone at all, and directly tried his best to explode his anger. Facing Zamasu, he did not dare to be careless. If Vegito makes a move, then maybe there is still hope of winning. Fortunately, Luya was barely able to keep up with Zamasu's movements under the condition of performing Super Red and 20 times the King's Fist, but in the battle, Luya still fell behind and was constantly attacked. Bang! Boom! Luya hit Zamasu in the face with a straight punch, but the next moment Zamasu grabbed Zamasu with that slender strange hand. Don't be too arrogant, Zamasu roared, and then he burst out with a powerful force, which was enough to destroy everything and directly invaded Luya's body. Luya screamed suddenly, but his will was firm, and he immediately raised his hand with an energy bomb to knock Zama's back. The latter had to let go. Luya just wanted to start again, but Luya instantly displayed teleportation and appeared in front of Zama's, with a slam dunk, directly knocking Zama's down. Then put his hands on his waist. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong. Ha! Luya roared and directly fired a turtle Qigong wave, which immediately drowned the opponent. Under the huge explosion, the smoke spread for a while. Luya stared at the bottom dignifiedly. He knew that he could not kill the other party. Ellipsis. On the other side, Kaiwang Shen took off his earring and handed it to Goku. Goku, Vegeta, hurry up and fuse the two of you. Goku took the earring, then looked at Vegeta and handed him a ring. Come on, Vegeta. Vegeta looked disgusted. What a joke. Let me merge with you. Impossible. Wukong frowned. What's the matter, Vegeta? Anyway, we have also merged. It's not bad this time. Idiot. How dare you talk about it? Vegeta seemed to remember something bad, and his face suddenly darkened. Since his strength has risen to Super Saiyan Blue, he has never thought about joining forces with Kakarot. I didn't expect to find myself in such an embarrassing situation now. Woohoo! Suddenly, in the sky, Luya was beaten by Zama's, and his body flew upside down. At the same time, Zama's fired several destructive energy bombs, all of which directly hit Luya. Seeing this scene, everyone's faces became solemn. Hurry up. If Zama's can't be stopped, I'm afraid the whole earth will disappear. Kavas said solemnly. In fact, he never imagined that his students would do such a thing, and make such a fuss. No doubt he was very shocked. But after the shock, there is fear, because if it really reaches a point where it is difficult to handle, it will not be good if some existences are disturbed. Goku looked at Vegeta and said urgently, come on. Vegeta, if the world here is destroyed, it will be too late. That Zama's not only killed the future Kiki and Goten, but also killed him. Bulma, are you so willing to let him do evil on this account? Hearing that, Vegeta really loosened. He gritted his teeth, and then snorted, Kakarot, this is my last fusion with you. Hey, Wukong didn't answer. Let's talk about the future. Saying that, Vegeta took the ring and put it on her ear. Chapter 112-Vegeta vs Zama's. In the air, Luya was still being beaten. Zamasu's strength was not something he could match, and although the opponent lost his perfect immortality, it would be difficult to recover if he was maimed. Therefore, it is impossible to deal with Luya. Touch. Wow. Luya screamed and fell suddenly, and then Zama's suddenly raised his hand to condense the super energy bomb and threw it out in an instant. Boom. A huge explosion sounded, and Luya's figure was completely submerged. Zama's looked at the smoke blankly, and then he would gather his strength to give the opponent a fatal blow. Suddenly, at this moment, a terrifying force suddenly rose into the sky. Immediately afterwards, the beam of light dissipated, and suddenly a figure was suspended in the air. What? Who are you? Zama's stared at each other with a startled expression. Hey. The man smiled, raised his hand and flicked the earring on his earlobe lightly, and then said, I am neither Kakarot nor Vegeta, but a fusion of Kakarot and Vegeta. Vegeta. Special. Veget. Zama's looked at Veget's earrings, and his face suddenly sank. Damn. Humans. How dare you use God's things? You are not worthy. He spoke. He suddenly looked at Gebas and the others. Damn it. As a god, he actually helped mortals to fight against gods. As he said that, he suddenly stretched out and shot a cannonball directly. Swish. But Vegeta instantly appeared in front of Kaiwangshan and the others, stopped the cannonball with one hand, and immediately smashed it with a low voice. Don't be too arrogant, Zama's. We are here to defeat you. Prepare yourself mentally. Humph. It's just you. Under the power of the great God, as a mortal, no matter how much you struggle, you will be judged miraculously by my God. The radiance wraps itself, and an astonishing power skyrockets. As expected of you, an enemy like you is really rare, so I will defeat you with all my strength. Vegeta grinned, then clenched his hands, and burst into a sudden burst of air. The blue beam of light shot up directly into the sky, and at the same time, Vegeta's hair turned blue, and his power skyrocketed. This is Vegito's Super Saiyan Blue. Vegito let out a long roar, and his power shot straight into the sky. Cut. Zamasu felt the opponent's strength, and suddenly became ferocious, and then rushed directly towards the opponent. Not to be outdone, Vegeta rushed out with a burst of air. As soon as the two collided, they would fight directly together. The strength was so strong that things nearby could not bear their collision. On the other side, Luya struggled out of the ruins. He stood up, looked into the air, and then narrowed his eyes slightly. Vegeta finally appeared. Zamasu's power is stronger than him, but compared to Vegeta, it is still very difficult to defeat him. On the one hand, Trunks was also fully rested, so he was watching the battle solemnly. Oh, I didn't expect such a powerful warrior to exist in the 7th universe. It's really rare. Gebas sighed a little. The King God of Universe 7 showed a proud expression on his face. Wukong and the others have been instructed by the God of Destruction. However, the race of Saiyans can reach this level, and the Saiyans in the 6th universe are just like this. Gebas said complicatedly. They shouldn't be able to beat Zamasu, so they have to prepare both hands. Luya said worriedly, looking at the battle in the air. No, they should have the upper hand now. Trunks said with a strange expression. Solemnly, even so, if Zamasu is not killed in a short time, then it will be troublesome. In fact, he could have used the sabotage bullet to solve Black Goku at the beginning, but Luya was reluctant to use it. After all, the power of the sabotage bullet is very terrifying. Even with Luya's current strength, he can't say that he can resist the sabotage bullet, but he is still useless. Because he is reluctant, he thinks that he can rely on Goku and Vegeta to fuse fighting monsters. You don't need to play all your cards. But there is another trick, and that is the Vitality Bomb. But it is no longer necessary. Why? Don't look at what the world is like now. There is not much vitality in the opportunity, and the condensed Vitality Bombs are like farts, and it is impossible to defeat Zamasu. Of course, there was another time with the power of an angel, which was not offensive and could only be used to escape. If he encountered a situation of mortal death, he would directly tear apart the time and space and run away. Let's look at the situation first. The two of them are fighting equally well. As long as Zamasu is consumed too much, then there is a chance. Gebas said lightly. Swish swish. In the air, Vegeta and Zamasu fought against each other. However, Vegeta has been testing Zamasu's power all the time, so he will be beaten often. Zamasu's huge fist slammed down, as if it could shatter a mountain, and attacked Vegeta. So oppressive. Vegeta was quick-witted, hugged the opponent's arm with both hands, and then threw Zamasu out of his shoulders. At the same time, he instantly condensed his energy and continuously fired energy bombs at Zamasu. Da 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 da. The attack poured out like raindrops, and Zamasu's face turned hideous. Suddenly, a heavy cannon was fired, destroying and detonating countless energy bombs. Then he raised his hands above his head and once again condensed a huge ball of energy. Super Turtle School Qigong. When Vegeta saw this, he immediately became angry. Get ready for the big move. Go to hell. Zamasu's face became fierce, and he threw the energy ball down. Boom boom boom. Ha! Vegeta also played a turtle Qigong and hit the energy ball directly. The two directly confront each other and stalemate. Ah! Both Vegeta and Zamasu are trying their best to output, and the two forces are accumulating and getting stronger and stronger. Not good. Stay away. Luya's face changed, and then he grabbed a few people to perform teleportation and disappeared. And the next second. Boom. Two huge explosions exploded directly, and for a while, an energy ball appeared in a radius of several kilometers, covering the surface of the Earth. Even from the surface of the Earth, it was enough to see. It was spectacular. After the huge explosion fell, the field was covered with thick smoke for several kilometers, and a huge crater with a diameter of 1 kilometer appeared, as if there was no end in sight. Ah, this also. Such a terrifying scene directly shocked Kaiwangshan and Trunks. Luya is nothing, but the scene is really shocking. Compared with destroying the planet, this kind of scene is more real. Chapter 113 _ The Strongest Talent Upgrade. Replication Capability. In the smoke, Vegeta and Zamasu stood opposite each other. The former had a smile on his lips, and his eyes showed excitement. Not bad. It can even be on par with me, Vegeta said with a smile. Hey, damn mortal, don't use your ignorant power to measure God. Zamasu's face was ugly, and he suddenly waved his hand, and a purple air blade appeared in his hand. Humph! Vegeta's eyes narrowed, and the next moment he exploded in vain, and rushed towards the other party. Swish, swish, swish. Bump, bump, bump. Zamasu's air blade is enough to tear everything apart, and even Vegeta dare not take the opponent's attack easily, so he flexibly dodges and attacks it sharply at the same time. Ha! Vegeta got close, kicked out, and immediately kicked the opponent. Snapped. But Zamasu seemed to have known it for a long time. The strange hand grabbed his foot directly, and the other held the air blade and stabbed at Vegeta for a while. Puff! But Vegeta pressed Zamasu's air blade with both hands in time. Ha! Zamasu grinned, and then he kicked straight, hitting Vegeta's chest. Ah! Vegeta screamed, and shot straight back. Boom! 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 Vegeta screamed and smashed through the buildings along the way, and finally crashed into a mountain. Zamasu looked at this scene indifferently, and then he was about to start. Suddenly two low shouts sounded. Zamasu was startled, and then his hands moved at the same time. Puff! Snapped! I saw that Luya and Trunks did not know when they had come behind Zamasu and launched an attack on him. However, they were all blocked by Zamasu. Zamasu held Luya's fist in one hand and blocked Trunks' sword with the other hand. Damn you all! Zamasu's eyes revealed a cold glow, and the next second he turned around in a spin, throwing Luya and Trunks out respectively. At the same time, Zamasu fired several shells one after another. Wow! Trunks was hit by a few shells during the inverted flight, and suddenly fell to the sound of the explosion. However, Luya stopped forcibly, burst into air, and the red aura suddenly expanded, quickly condensing his strength to play the prince's tactics, offsetting the opponent's attack. Hey, you things that get in the way, let's solve you together like this. Zamasu said. Suddenly his body was wrapped in a group of light, and then, the light directly split into two groups of light. The light dissipated, and there were two more Zamasus in the field. What? Luya's face suddenly sank. Hum hum hum. You are lucky enough to be able to make gods perform real kung fu. Zamasu said with a wicked smile. As he spoke, his face suddenly turned cold. Kill them. Swish, swish. When the words fell, the two clones beside him rushed directly towards Luya and Trunks. Come on! Luya roared, and then a powerful force burst out, bringing the Super Saiyan Red to the fullest. Ah! The fierce battle began immediately, and after a while, the space itself swayed with ripples, unable to capture its movements. On the other hand, Trunks was not afraid at all. He burst into the air, and immediately outputted full power, transforming into the latest form. Under the yellow light, surrounded by the bright blue light, the breath skyrocketed. The next moment, Trunks greeted him with a long sword in hand. Boom! Suddenly, the valley in the distance a blue beam of light rose into the sky, and then, a figure flew up. It's Vegeta. Vegeta glanced at Zamasu, then smiled, and appeared in front of Zamasu in the next instant. Hey, what a fate! Zamasu gasped in vain, suddenly surrounded by colored light, and at the same time, a purple light instantly wrapped him. The purple air blade in his hand contains destructive power. Vegeta glanced at Luya and Trunks who were fighting fiercely, then his eyes suddenly became serious. He looked at Zamasu. It's very good. Zamasu pointed at Vahit. It's your turn next. Hee hee. Is that so? Come on then. The stronger your strength, the stronger I will be. Ah. The blue light soared into the sky, which was extremely spectacular. The two looked at each other and moved directly in the next instant. The two groups of brilliance kept colliding in the air, and after separating, they fired artillery shells like two fighter jets, very fast. Boom boom boom. Ah ah ah. On the other side, Luya was fighting fiercely with Zamaz's clone, but he found that although the opponent's power was also very powerful, it was not as terrifying as the main body, probably only 80% of the main body's strength. In this regard, Luya did not use the World King Fist, but relied on the Super Saiyan Red to fight the opponent. Of course, the opponent's strength is indeed higher than him, so Luya has been psychologically prepared and regards the opponent as a formidable sparring opponents come to see. System. Use the strongest talent. Luya snorted. Open black lens bracket drop. Use the strongest talent. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Since the number of times the host uses the strongest talent meets the system requirements, the reward talent effect is enhanced. The host can copy the opponent's tricks. And can archive learning. Close black lens bracket. The system suddenly said such a sentence. Luya was stunned, and then quickly said, "What's the use of this? Isn't the strongest talent already powerful enough?" System. Host. The strongest talent is not output at full power from the beginning, but improves with the improvement of the host's strength. As long as the host reaches a certain level, when the strongest talent cannot dominate the host, the talent can be used. Strengthen. With the strengthening of talent, the host can obtain the accompanying skills. Speechless. Then didn't you say at first that my talent is comparable to Brawly? Host. Sorry, host, I didn't make it clear. In fact, it is the strongest talent at the peak that can become stronger even with breathing like Brawly. Then why didn't you say it earlier? System. The host's conditions do not allow it, and it is useless to know. Good guy. Luya was speechless, but he didn't care so much. As he turned on the strongest talent, suddenly, his body seemed to have some surging power, as if it was constantly flowing to his body and limbs. I feel it. Luya was refreshed, and then he looked at Zamaz, showing a strong fighting intent. If that's the case, let's try it. Chi, what are you talking about? Do you want to delay the time? Zamaz slowly stretched out his hand, and then suddenly burst into air, instantly condensing a chi sword nearly 2 meters long. Luya grinned, and then burst out and rushed out. Ha! In an instant, when Luya used his flash, as his strength increased, the flash time had increased to 0.9 seconds, and the time cage immediately blocked Zamasu's surroundings. Zamaz's face was calm, and the ring in his hand lit up. Chapter 114 _ Fightback. Luya's power. Bump. There was a muffled sound, and suddenly, Zamasu's figure was directly knocked into the air. This scene directly made the two kings and gods bewildered. What's the matter? How did Luya hit Zamasu? The king god was a little shocked. Well, it should be that Zamaz is just a clone, and the young man's time control can have an effect on it. Gebas thought for a while and said. Luya was also a little surprised, and then she was a little surprised. Nima. This dangling can't prevent its own flash. Thinking of this, Luya trembled, and disappeared again in the next moment. Damn, Zamaz's face changed, and he was punched again before he could react. However, with his physical strength, Luya's attack could not pose a fatal threat to him, but he was still suppressed. Boom boom boom. Immediately, when Luya directly cast dodge, he continued to attack Zamaz, and basically every attack had an effect. But gradually, Luya found that the other party had the ability to resist, and with a move in his heart, he suddenly understood. No matter how powerful your own flash time is, the opponent will slowly adapt to it if you use it more. Thinking of this, Luya suddenly disappeared. And he obviously underestimated Zamaz. Almost the moment he disappeared, Zamaz suddenly stabbed with a sword. Puff! The space in front of him trembled, Luya's figure appeared on the field, and Zamasu's air blade slashed directly across his face, and a bloodstain appeared and blood flowed out. How come? Luya was shocked, the other party was so fast. Zamaz looked cold, grabbed Luya directly, and threw it hard. Boom! Luya's body fell directly, and the smoke was everywhere. Humph! Do you really think I'm just powerful? Zamaz looked at Luya with disdain. Luya stood up, then looked at each other and grinned. I underestimated you. He really thought that the other party only relied on the original strong strength, but ignored the other party's natural ability. However, this kind of battle is interesting. With the upgraded version of his talent enabled, his strength is also getting stronger during the battle. Boom! Luya suddenly shot a shock wave with both hands and shot directly at Zamaz. Chi! Zamaz dismissed it, then raised his hand and directly cut Luya's qigong in half. Suddenly, Luya's figure appeared in front of Zamaz, and his fists fell like raindrops. Zamaz's expression changed, and he could only resist the opponent's attack with both hands. But soon, he suddenly gave up the resistance. When Luya punched his face, he instantly buckled Luya's neck. At the same time, the other hand directly condensed the chi blade again and stabbed it out. Luya was startled, and then quickly pressed the air blade with both hands, and at the same time raised his strength to the extreme. Divine Bodyguard. Kakaka. But Zamaz's strength was gradually strengthened, and at the same time, his strange hand gradually exerted force, and Luya's face suddenly flushed. This is bad. The Realm King immediately felt bad and wanted to help. It's useless, even if we take action. It won't work, the strength gap is too big. Gebaz said lightly. Are you just watching him get killed? The Realm King was a little anxious. Gebaz's eyes were cautious, and he turned his eyes to the other side. At this time, Trunks was also suppressed by Zamaz. Although Trunks' strength was strengthened by an unknown amount, his strength was still not comparable to Zamaz. As for Veget, the two fought back and forth. Although Veget was gradually gaining the upper hand, it was impossible for him to solve Zamaz in a short time. Deadlocked. However, they obviously underestimated Luya, and the latter's power is quietly increasing. There is a vague tendency to break free. How is that possible? Zamaz obviously felt the change in the other party. He didn't dare to drag it any longer, and then he would crush Luya's neck. Puff! Suddenly, the sound of a sharp weapon being inserted into the flesh sounded, and the air suddenly became quiet. Whether it was Kaiwang God and Kavas, or Zamasu himself, they were all shocked and sluggish. I saw Luya grabbing Zamaz's chi blade with one hand, but the other hand gave birth to a red chi blade, which stabbed into Zamaz's body fiercely. How possible? Zamasu's face suddenly turned green, and the intense pain made him subconsciously let go of Luya. Do you think you are the only one who can play? Luya said jokingly. This is his talent incidental skill, which can copy the opponent's tricks. Of course, power and the like, depends on itself. This kind of air blade, if Luya is allowed to practice for a while, he will definitely be able to practice it, but it is better to copy it directly by the system. The next second, Luya kicked directly, kicking Zamaz directly. The latter covered his wound, and then his eyes were red and his eyes were splitting. Impossible. How could you hurt me? Even if he is a clone, he is still a god. Impossible to lose. Absolutely impossible. Luya looked at the other party, and then said, it's your self-righteousness. Don't think you are a god and be arrogant. Humans often do things you can't imagine. Including slaughtering gods. Presumptuous. Zamaz roared, and then an astonishing scene appeared. I saw that his wound was healing quickly. Seeing this scene, Luya's eyes were slightly condensed. Really? The body of immortality still works. After a while, Zamaz's injury had recovered. He looked at Luya and said, I will never let you go. After he finished speaking, a group of blood-colored lightning suddenly appeared in his hands. At the same time, the two groups of lightning suddenly spurted out a blood-colored light and finally merged. Accept God's judgment. Stupid humans. Zamasu shouted angrily, and then a blood mine shot out. Luya didn't dare to be careless, but he didn't have the need to hide, so he immediately lifted his breath. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong. Ha. Boom. The huge light wave burst out directly. Immediately after that, directly touched the blood mine. Ah. Luya roared, the breath is constantly improving. Zamaz was obviously provoked by the clowns who jumped on the beam that he thought, and he was very annoyed for a while. At the same time, there is a little red light lacing out of Zamaz's body. Blade of Judgment. Luya's eyes moved, and for a while, those thunders of judgment stopped directly. Flash time. Time control. Jawangquan ah. Luya roared, and instantly cast Jawangquan, directly raising his strength to the extreme. Turtle-style Qigong was also output to the extreme at this moment, and instantly smashed the whole body's blade of judgment. Powerful, the firepower flew towards Zamaz. You bastard, how could I possibly lose to a human like you? Impossible. Zamasu's face was terrifying, and the output of divine power was fatal. The collision of the two forces is comparable to the collision between Vegeta and Zamasu. This kind of power. Vegeta stopped in shock during the fierce battle and couldn't help but look in Luya's direction. The opponent's strength can be said to have surpassed Goku and Vegeta unilaterally. After this fusion, Vegeta can clearly feel it. Luya, it's really good. Vegeta grinned, but before he was happy, Zamaz had come to him. Where are you looking? Bump. Wow. Vegeta screamed and was sent flying. Zamaz looked at the battlefield where Luya was located, his eyes showed terrifying killing intent, and immediately he was ready to deal with Luya. Swish. But the next second Vegeta stopped him. Hey. Your opponent is us. Chapter 115_Jedi Counterattack. Fight for humanity. Ah. Luya was not stingy with his anger, and outputted frantically. When he saw that Zamaz was gradually suppressed by him, he even burst out with his most powerful strength. Boom boom boom. Impossible. Zamaz's face changed greatly, and before he could finish his words, Luya broke through the defense, and then he was overwhelmed by Qigong waves. Luya was gasping for breath, and he didn't choose to eat fairy beans because of the huge consumption. He really ate that stuff, and it was really good for him, but he didn't want to. Maybe it was because of the inherent pride of the Saiyans, he disdained that kind of behavior. Soon, the smoke dissipated, and Luya breathed a sigh of relief that Zamaz was not as unscathed as before. At this time, the appearance of the other party was indeed a bit miserable. After Zamasu and Black Wukong's bodies were completely fused, they were not able to maintain a divine body, but a half-god and half-mortal. It can be seen from his appearance now that he has become very ugly. So at this time, the ugly half of the opponent's body is already bloody, and the body is not complete. Zamaz opened his mouth in pain, unbelievable that he would lose so tragically. However, his festering flesh and blood suddenly recovered slowly, and that was the power of the immortal body. Seeing this scene, Luya's face suddenly firmed up. The next moment, he burst into gas and rushed towards Zamaz. Bump. Ouch. Zamaz directly ate Luya's top knee and was kicked away by Luya at the same time. But in the process of flying backwards, Zamaz's body is gradually recovering. Luya took a deep breath. His potential at this time has been improved a lot because of his talent, and his strength is also constantly improving. But now his consumption is very huge, so he can't show it, but he doesn't want to give Zamaz a chance to use his power, condensing an energy bomb in his hand, and the next second he throws it directly at Zamaz. Boom. No accident, the energy ball hit Zamaz directly. Luya put away the king's fist, fell to the ground, and began to buffer his state. And the smoke dissipated, revealing the figure of Zamaz in the air. I saw that the other party's body had recovered, but his breath was much weaker. It has not disappeared, and it can maintain the existence of the clone. Luya was not surprised. If the opponent was eliminated by him, it would not be Zamaz. Thinking of this, Luya took a deep breath, and his physical strength was barely relieved. He looked at Zamaz, and then slowly lifted into the air. Life is really big, Luya sneered. Zamaz looked at Luya with a sullen face. Although he is himself, he also has his own consciousness. As a god, he is absolutely not allowed to lose directly to the opponent. Luya doesn't have time to talk nonsense with him. To solve this guy, he has to help. Swish. In an instant, the red light on the body converged towards the hand, and a chi sword was condensed. Luya pointed at Zamaz. Come on. Watch me chop you into pieces. Bastard. Zamaz was ferocious, and then rushed towards Luya. ... The other side. Boom. A building exploded, and then, a figure was tightly embedded in a wall. It's Trunks. Zamaz slowly fell in front of him and looked at him mockingly. What? Don't you give up struggling? How ignorant you are when you take action against God. Trunks stared at Zamaz with an icy face, then burst into a rage, dashed out of the wall, and attacked Zamaz directly. But in the next second, Zamaz grabbed Trunks' face directly with that slender, strange hand, and then Zamaz rushed forward with full force, pressing on Trunks' face. The latter's figure directly smashed into a thick wall. Ah! Trunks couldn't help screaming in pain. He had no strength to fight back, and was completely abused by Zamaz. Boom! Zamath threw Trunks down, and then an energy projectile shot out. Blasted off in an instant. On the other side, on a rooftop somewhere, a group of ordinary people gathered. They were the survivors hiding in the basement. Now that they have eaten fairy beans, they are all in good spirits. The battle continues, the devil has not been defeated, and everyone is worried. And Xiao Wu, who was watching the battle with binoculars, turned pale. Trunks. Her face became firm, and she immediately took a shotgun and prepared to go to support. My aunt, what are you doing? Yakilob's expression changed, and he quickly stopped him. Xiao Wu said solemnly, if you don't help Trunks, you will be killed. Yakilob said helplessly, even if you go, the result will not be the same. People can kill you with one finger. Xiao Wu said to him displeased, then why don't you go? Your strength is the strongest among the people present. Only you can make a difference. Yakilob's face froze, and he scratched his face in embarrassment. Well, that kind of battle is not something I can participate in. Then don't stop me, Xiao Wu said angrily. Archilobe. He didn't want to get involved either. If something happened to this woman, he would definitely be cold too. Boom. Another explosion sounded, Trunks' body fell directly, and a huge pit appeared. Zamaz landed slowly, looked at Trunks, and said indifferently, how can the power of mortals be better than God? It's not like this. Trunks struggled to stand up. His body was shaky, but he insisted not to fall, and then, from Trunks' body, a blue light suddenly ignited. Why should you let these selfish gods control the fate of mankind? Trunks stared at Zamaz through gritted teeth, unyielding in his eyes. Hee, why? Because you humans are not only weak, but you are self-righteous and cause all kinds of wars. The balance of the universe has been destroyed since the birth of human beings until now. Therefore, in order to create a universe that is conducive to the management of gods, you humans must die. Zamath grinned, his eyes full of madness. The self-righteous one is your god. What did you say in order to create peace, but made the world so bad? How many people lost their loved ones? How many people cried? These, you so-called gods, have no mercy. Lonks roared. Even the two realm gods were silent. Zamaz thought it was funny, and then what? Trunks stabilized his body, and the blue light on his body became more and more. No matter how strong you are, I will represent everyone and protect the world. Defeat you, the culprit. Not far away, Trunks' saber trembled as if it had been summoned by its master, and then flew directly into Trunks' hands. Ha! Trunks suddenly roared, and although his body was exhausted, a terrifying force erupted. The blue light enveloped his body, and his strength, state, and various conditions were improving extremely fast. Trunks, come on. At the same time, the survivors seemed to have heard Trunks' determination and shouted, and a little white light suddenly appeared on them. These white lights are as holy as moonlight. This is the light of people's breath and the hope of all survivors. These light spots continued to condense, and finally suddenly disappeared into Trunks' body. This is Trunks' face changed, and the next second he felt an extremely comfortable feeling. At the same time, he felt infinite power. It is being continuously transported into his body. This is everyone's hope. Trunks' face suddenly became serious, and he looked at Zamiz firmly. No matter what, I will represent the entire human race and decide the outcome with you. It's ridiculous. A lowly mortal dares to speak madly to God. You can't even solve my avatar. How can you represent a human being? Zamiz said disdainfully. Just rely on me, I will kill you completely. Trunks roared, and then a bright white light lit up his body, and for a while, a terrifying energy burst out, and the light wrapped around his body had become blue. Unlike Super Saiyan Blue, Trunks carries the will of all humans. Trunks charged towards Zamiz with his sword, and the holy sword Lanwei slashed everything to Zamiz. Zamiz snorted coldly, condensed a chi blade in his hand, and slashed straight out. Clang! Puff! The two terrifying forces collided, and the ground on which they were standing cracked. How could the power of a mere human being be defeated? Zamiz glared at Trunks frantically, as if to tear him to pieces. Don't stress to me how high your gods are. The gods who only destroy peace are not qualified to stand above us. Zamasu's air blade was directly chopped by him. Impossible. Zamasu panicked, and his figure quickly retreated, and immediately avoided Trunks' sword. But Trunks obviously didn't give him a chance. Suddenly, his aura skyrocketed, and his speed was extremely fast. He easily jumped in front of Zamiz, and slashed again with a sword. You devil, disappear for me. Bastard. Zamiz's face changed greatly, and he could only hold the opponent's lightsaber with both hands, but the next second he felt a force that he couldn't resist. Why does a god like you decide the life and death of human beings? Trunks slammed hard, and for a moment, he directly shook Zamasu's imprisonment. No. PFF'd. With a muffled sound, an arm flew out directly. It was the strange hand of Zamiz. At the same time, Trunks was quick-witted, swung his lightsaber, and several sword lights passed by. In the next second, Zamiz was directly divided into several pieces. Zamasu's eyes widened in disbelief. How could this be human power? Bang! The next moment, Zamasu's body shattered directly. Clone, destroy. Chapter 116 Instant Realization. Victory is set. Win. Oh. Seeing that Trunks defeated Zamiz, everyone cheered excitedly. Once upon a time, the demon Zamasu became the destroyer in their eyes. The whole world has become like this, all because of Zamasu. And the other party is so invincible. Now that Trunks has defeated a Zamiz, how can they not be excited? Snapped. Trunks fell to his knees, and the mysterious power on his body also dissipated. He has vented all of his own, and now he has finally solved the opponent. It seems that Trunks has succeeded. I can't fall behind. Luya obviously noticed the situation on Trunks' side, and grinned suddenly. Call. At this time, a fist wind hit. Luya calmly raised his hand and grabbed a fist directly. What? Zamasu's expression changed. What? You don't seem to be able to do it. Is the will of God so unbearable? Luya looked at Zamiz and said mockingly. He knew that the other party was obviously affected. Damn it. Zamiz's face was hideous, and he was about to explode. But Luya is faster than him. 20 times the World King's fist was turned on, with full power output, and instantly moved under Zamiz, and punched into his stomach. Ouch! Zamiz immediately turned pale and spat out. Does God also hurt? Luya said jokingly. Zamiz collapsed completely, folded his fists and slammed it down. Swish! Luya disappeared suddenly, appeared behind Zamiz in the next instant, and then threw it out, knocking the opponent down. Boom! Zamiz was in a state of embarrassment, his emotions were unstable, and he could not exert his strength at all. On the contrary, Luya's strength is getting stronger and stronger. By fighting against Zamasu, his combat power has skyrocketed under the display of his strongest talent, and his combat skills have become more and more mature. What's more, it's still on the basis of the World King Fist. It can be said that in the same form, Luya has surpassed Wukong and the others, and even his own potential has been tapped out. Expanded room for improvement. However, Luya is not proud. He knows that as a Saiyan, almost everyone will grow in battle, so after this battle, Goku and Vegeta will also improve their strength by leaps and bounds, and he is just more than they have improved. That's it. However, now Luya doesn't want to simply improve his power. His Super Saiyan is red, and the road leads to the ultimate freedom. So what he wants to practice is physical response. As long as a limit is reached, then he will be able to comprehend ZZG Yigong. Thinking of this, Luya looked at Zamasu below and exploded in vain. Then, he stretched out his hand and condensed an energy bomb. At the same time, the force was continuously compressed, and it was launched directly in the next second. Zamasu's face was ugly. He suddenly opened his mouth wide, and a purple on spewed out from his mouth. Boom! In an instant, the explosion sounded, and Zamasu took the lead and appeared directly in front of Luya, with a punch. Luya kept dodging. Although the opponent's speed was very fast, Luya was a little rushed at first, but gradually, Luya could barely dodge the opponent's attack, and he was exercising his will. If he didn't have to think, then his body naturally reacting to external stimuli is undoubtedly helpful for cultivating the free-spirited mind power. But what hurts Luya's eggs is that he can't do this yet, because whenever he gives up thinking, he will always be hammered by Zamasu, so he doesn't dare to do this anymore, and he has to get serious and improve his speed first. As long as his body can keep up with his thinking, even if he shrinks for an instant, his speed can be significantly improved. And Zamasu seemed to see that the other party was using him as a sparring partner, and immediately became angry, punching Luya with a punch. Luya is not afraid at all, ready to be tough. But when he punched, suddenly on Zamasu's fist, a purple on condensed and stabbed Luya. Crap! Careless! Luya was horrified. He didn't expect the other party to be so treacherous. But he has no way to dodge at this time. If he is stabbed by this sword, his hand will be useless. Just in desperation, Luya struggled violently in his heart. What he didn't know was that a small layer of white light suddenly appeared on the surface of his body. What? Zamasu exclaimed, because he found that Luya was gone. Gone. Feeling the slightest bit, Zamasu suddenly turned around. His face changed at the same time. Impossible. When did you? It was obvious that he was bound to seriously injure this human being just now, but why did the other party disappear in an instant? Wrong. In less than a moment. With his power, at such a close distance, if the opponent wants to escape, then he can capture its trajectory. The other party's operation surprised him. Luya was also a little confused at this time. How did he escape? When he reacted, his body had returned to normal. Luya tried to grab something, but it was very vague. Failed. Luya was shocked. He was sure that he must have achieved a natural reaction just now. System. Is there an archive? Luya said in a hurry. System. Sorry host. The system detected that the host gave up thinking for a moment, so the host's brain was blank. That is, the strongest talent was no longer used, so the system couldn't capture it. Hearing this, Luya is a bit unfortunate. If he can capture that feeling, then he can successfully practice Zizai Jigong before the power conference. But now it seems a bit difficult. Human, how did you do it? Zamasu suddenly asked. Luya looked at him, and then grinned. You don't need to know how I did it. Let's count our accounts now. After jumping around for so long, if I can't even solve your avatar, how can I mess up? Quote. What a big deal. Zamasu snorted coldly, and then rushed towards Luya. Luya suddenly became serious. The opportunity was fleeting. He was not stupid enough to be careless again, and suddenly he condensed a red air blade to fight with Zamasu. On the other side, Vegeta and Zamasu were colliding violently. The strength of the two of them seemed to be evenly matched, but a closer look revealed that Vegeta seemed to be slipping Zama's. Ha! The two fists collided, and a powerful force suddenly erupted. Ah, damn! Zama's face suddenly became ugly when he realized that he couldn't solve the guy in front of him. What's wrong? Is the power of God so small? Vegeta laughed and looked at Zama's mockingly. You asshole! Zama's face was hideous, as if he had been greatly insulted, and then he directly condensed an air blade in his other hand and stabbed Vegeta directly. Puff! With a muffled sound, Zamasu's face was filled with disbelief. The air blade in his hand was only a few centimeters away from Vegeta's eyes, but a more slender air blade pierced through his body. And the source of the air blade is Vegeta. You're not the only one who can do this trick, Vegito said with a faint smile. Snapped. Huh, Vegeta was taken aback for a moment, because Zamasu actually held his air blade. Humans. Hurt God. Unforgivable. Zamasu grabbed Vegeta's air blade with all his strength, and in the next second, he directly bullied him and knocked Vegito flying with one punch. Zamasu's wound began to heal, but his face was a bit ugly, because although his immortal body was still useful, the pain was still there. Vegeta lifted off into the sky, then grinned and said, "Look at your appearance, it has absolutely nothing to do with the nobility in your mouth." Damn it! Zamasu's hands burst into a strong light, and then he violently reflected a terrifying energy wave towards Vegeta. Vegito snorted coldly, and immediately launched a shotgun with his backhand. The two attacks directly cancel out. Ah! Zama's rushed over, followed by, he raised several years, crazy toward Vegeta attack. Vegito hurriedly dodged, but his reaction was astonishing. He grabbed the opponent's arm the moment he punched, and threw the opponent away with an over-the-shoulder fall. Boom! Zama's slammed into a building in embarrassment, and the building collapsed. Boom! But in the next second, Zama's figure was soaring into the sky. He looked at Vegeta, his eyes were enough to kill. I will destroy you and this world together. As he said that, he suddenly burst out with all his strength, and directly began to condense the terrifying power of destruction. Vegeta's face condensed, and then he burst into anger. Then let's see, who is stronger. Turtle, Pi, Chi. Humans, your way is over. Give me in this world, and destroy it together. Ha! Zama's face was grim, and suddenly, an unprecedented wave of destruction light was directly launched by him. Vegeta charged straight down. Gong, it's here. Vegeta rushed out of the turtle school Qigong, and immediately, the white light wave directly hit the opponent's destructive energy. Ah! Vegeta kept roaring, and his strength continued to increase. Zama's is also desperate, crazy output power, and wants to kill his opponent in this blow. But it has to be said that he thought of Vegeta's power too simply. Zama's. Woo! Ah! Vegeta suddenly made a force, and suddenly pushed the Qigong wave to Zama's. How is that possible? No, impossible. Zamasu's face became horrified, and he found that no matter how much he resisted, it would not work at all. Boom! For a time, the huge energy directly engulfed Zama's. On the other side, the clone who was fighting Luya suddenly stopped, and then he covered his hair and made a painful sound. Chance! Luya's eyes condensed, and in the next second, he raised his breath to the peak, directly condensing the turtle Qigong. Disappear for me, turtle school Qigong. Luya fiercely launched the turtle Qigong and hit Zama's directly. No! With being submerged in energy, Zamasu's clone turned into fly ash in the light and dissipated. Chapter 117 _ The Last Let Go. Zamasu's clone completely disappeared. Seeing this scene, the two realm gods breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were also a little worried. Can they destroy the real Zamasu? At this time, Vegeta was breathing a little bit quickly, but he looked into the sky. It shouldn't be so easy to die. Luya and Trunks fell to Vegeta's side. Yo, you've done a great job, Vegeta said in admiration. Trunks said modestly, if it wasn't for everyone's strength, I would be nothing. Luya said carelessly, it's a pity that you actually created opportunities for me. If it weren't for Vegeta interfering with the main body, it would be really difficult to solve Zamasu's clone, even if his strength is enough to match it. Vegito smiled and said, "You guy, you have made a lot of breakthroughs in this battle. In terms of personal combat power, you are already above us." He didn't lie. Luya's power has surpassed Super Saiyan Blue and reached a more advanced level. Luya grinned and didn't speak. "However, this guy, you have to leave it to me, you are not allowed to interfere." Vegeta suddenly dropped these words, jumped up directly, and flew towards the air. "Is it a little too wavy?" Luya whispered. "Trunks." The explosion dissipated, and Zamasu's figure appeared on the field. At this time, he was indeed a little miserable. He suffered from Vegeta's full-power Super Turtle Qigong, and even he couldn't escape. "Yo, what's the matter? Is this the power of God? It's nothing special, right?" Vegeta suddenly flew in front of him and grinned. "You bastard." Zamasu looked at Vegeta with a grim expression on his face. He didn't expect that he would lose so ugly. "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible." Vegeta suddenly smiled and said, "Okay, the farce should end, you should go and repent to the human beings you killed." After he finished speaking, he suddenly burst into anger, and the blue power rose into the sky, his hands were gathered around his waist, and he planned to perform another Super Turtle Qigong. "How could I lose to you?" Zamasu roared suddenly, and suddenly he roared, and a shocking scene happened. I saw Zamasu's appearance changed, and his body changed for a while. More than double the size, the original appearance of half human and half god has now become a monster. The skin of the whole body is purple, swollen like a toad, and the whole body is wrapped in terrifying black energy. Ah! With a roar, for a while, a powerful breath suddenly swept away, and the place it passed was directly razed to the ground. At the same time, countless blood-red beams suddenly shot out from him, constantly destroying everything that could be destroyed. Not good. Luya and Trunks' faces changed, and the next moment Luya directly performed teleportation, appeared in front of Xiao Wu and others, exploded directly, forming a protective shield. Damn! Vegeta was also angry, and at the same time shocked. The opponent's power, at this moment, far surpassed the original power. Human. It's unforgivable that I have been reduced to this step. You all have to be buried with me. Not good. Zamasu gave up his identity as a god and completely assimilated the power in his body. Gebas said solemnly. I can feel the aura of destruction like this. The seventh universe realm king god said solemnly. Get ready to run away at any time. Gebas said solemnly. Realm king god. Ellipsis. After a burst of riots, everything in the area is in a mess. The world that has been bombarded by countless energies has become unbearable. Various natural disasters have erupted at this moment, and the entire Earth is heading for extinction. Luya's face was a little gloomy. Why didn't Zamasu play cards according to the routine? In this look, the energy has surpassed him by too much. But the current Zamasu has abandoned the identity of God and chose a powerful force, so it seems that as long as the opponent can be solved, this crisis will be solved. Thinking of this, Luya looked at Xiao Wu and the others, and then he used teleportation to disappear, but the next second, he appeared again, bringing the two world kings and gods. 2. I need your help. Luya said. Gebas glanced at Xiao Wu and the others, and immediately said, you should have asked us to take them away, right? That's right. If they stay here, they will only affect us, or even be affected. Luya said lightly. This is not good, this is the future world, and if you bring them to the real world, it will be messed up. It is absolutely impossible to have two selves in one time and space. The realm of the king suddenly said solemnly. Luya glanced at the realm god, and then said, wouldn't it be enough to take them to the 10th universe? What? Young man, don't mess around. Kavas said in a complicated way. Luya said, what? This matter is the fault of your 10th universe. If there was no Zamasu, the world would not be like this, so shouldn't you buy it? Kavas hesitated. To be honest, it was indeed their fault, but it was really inappropriate to bring these people back so rashly. Luya suddenly said, "This time and space, and the time and space of the real world, the two Quanwongs are there, and no one can kill the Quanwong. If they know, do you want to be cool? Wait a minute, discuss this matter well." Mentioning King Quan, the old king of the realm stopped and persuaded. Luya said indifferently, "Isn't it just a few? You can just settle them, or do you want to make the human beings in this world extinct? This should go against your principle of being the king of gods, right?" Kavas was silent for a moment, then nodded, "Well, just do as you said. Don't be dissatisfied, this is what your good student did. If it wasn't for him, why would we have to work so hard for this trip? And if your realm gods are gone, you know the consequences." Luya suddenly said strangely. "What? How did you know?" Kavas was surprised, a little shocked. The other party actually knew the secret of their realm god. If the realm god is gone, the god of destruction will suffer. This is the reason for the death of the god at this moment. Originally, the power of the realm god is not very strong. If you want to kill the realm god, it is not difficult to do it. Luya was too lazy to talk to him so much, and said, "It's alright, let's take them away first, otherwise no one will be able to leave." "Wait, I want to stay," Xiaowu suddenly came over and said firmly. Luya thought for a while, then nodded, "You stay." "Wait, I'm staying too. I don't want to go to another universe." Yakilobe suddenly ran. Luya said lightly, "You can't, you can follow them to the 10th universe." "Why?" Yakilobe refused. "Obviously Xiaowu can do it, why can't he?" Lightly, "Because Trunks has a time machine, but you don't, understand? Come on, I'll let you all stay here to die if you talk nonsense." Everyone. Finally, under Xiaowu's persuasion, everyone agreed to leave this world. This place has become hell, so there is no need for them to stay. After a while, Kavas and Kaiwang Shen took everyone away, and before leaving, they told Luya and the others to be careful. "You hide, or you will be affected." Luya looked at Xiaowu. "Thank you." Xiaowu looked at Luya gratefully. Luya didn't say much, jumped and flew directly into the field. The movement on Luya's side was obviously discovered by Veget and the others, but Zamaz wanted to stop it but was stopped by Veget. Trunks looked at Luya who came to his side, and said gratefully, "Thank you." Luya waved his hand. "This earth is about to be destroyed. It's not bad to be able to last for so long. We have to defeat Zamaz as soon as possible." The earth exploded, and no one could run, except him, of course. At this time, Veget and Zamaz are both gathering strength. Their strength is getting stronger and stronger, and they want to solve each other with their strongest strength. "Hey, look, this is my last full power output. Super Turtle Qigong." Vehit's body sank, and then he violently launched a terrifying turtle Qigong towards Zamaz. A terrifying force rose directly into the sky, and at the same time, Zamaz had also gathered a terrifying force. Go to hell. Humans. Boom. The blood-colored energy bombarded down like a waterfall, and the two forces collided for a while, and the powerful aura directly swept away, destroying everything. "Ah!" Vegito roared and fiercely increased the firepower. But this time he was obviously unable to suppress Zamaz. The opponent's power had been completely assimilated, and at the same time he gave up his immortality. His power had been greatly improved, and he was no worse than Vegeta. The two fiercely confronted the waves, and the powerful strength surprised Luya and Trunks, but both of them understood that if Zamaz could not be solved, then not only the Earth, but this piece of time and space would go directly to destruction. Luya suddenly said solemnly, "Go and help." After that, he turned into Super Saiyan Red and rushed out. Trunks didn't hesitate, he used his last strength to transform into a Super Saiyan and flew up. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong. Ultimate, Flash. Boom. Boom. The two energies merged with Veget's power in vain, and the power was greatly increased in an instant. It is directly to gradually push the energy to Zamasu. What? Zamaz's face was ugly. Vegeta was taken aback. This guy must be solved as soon as possible. Luya gritted his teeth. Vegeta was about to speak, but at this moment, his body suddenly flashed light, and immediately split. Vegeta and Goku appeared in the field. What's the matter? Trunks asked hastily, startled. It seems that the strength is not enough to maintain the fusion. Wukong said with a serious face. HMPH. This is the best. This uncle has to rely on his own strength to solve this mess. Vegeta said proudly. The next moment he turned into Super Blue, and at the same time, he opened up, and instantly blasted out the energy. That's right. Ha! Wukong also snorted, and immediately exerted all his strength to play the turtle Qigong. Damn human! How could I possibly lose to you? Zamaz's face was hideous, and he increased his firepower in vain. We will not lose. Zamaz. Ah! The four Luya roared for a while, unleashing their all-out attacks and exerting their strength at the same time. The next moment, the terrifying energy rushed directly to Zamaz. P.S. I merged 5 chapters into 3 chapters. The number of words is similar. One chapter is more than 3,000 words, so that you will not say that one chapter is very short. Daily reward. To urge more. To generate electricity for love. Chapter 118 _ It's not over yet. Lonely lure. Ah. The 4 of them did their best and exerted their strength at the same time, and their strength surpassed Zamaz. No, you are just mere humans. Zamaz was unable to resist the combined blow of the 4, and he was suddenly pushed back by the energy. For a time, Zamaz was directly submerged. With a scream and a beam of light piercing the sky, Zamasu's body exploded directly, turning into a bloody fog. Call. Win. Great. Wukong smiled. Luyaji was also relieved, and then several people began to land slowly. Trunks. Xiaowu ran over from not far away. Xiaowu. Trunks' face relaxed, showing a relaxed smile. The two hugged each other tightly, extremely complicated. Before that, the future world was messed up by Zamaz, and the entire human beings on the earth were almost wiped out by him. Even the closest people of the two people died. The blow and pressure they suffered was very huge. And now, their nightmare is finally over. Okay, wait until you go back and hug, it seems like it's going to explode here. Luya said suddenly. As if in response to his words, the surrounding ground began to crack, followed by countless magma eruptions, and the earth was destroyed, as if the entire earth would fall apart. In the end, we still haven't protected the earth. Wukong said in a complicated way. Be content, it's already very good to be able to defeat Zamasu, and there should be no one here, so let's destroy it. Vegeta said lightly. Fortunately, this time and space are not the same time and space as Dad's. Otherwise, the future scene would be very bad. Trunks said solemnly. Forget it. Hey Trunks, take out the time machine. Goku said to Trunks. The latter nodded, then took out a capsule, pressed it lightly, and then threw it away. Bang! The next second, a time machine appeared in the field. Okay, let's go up. Wukong looked at Trunks and Xiaowu. The two were not polite, and immediately got into the time machine. The 3 people sitting down in the time machine are already very crowded. Vegeta, you go up. Goku laughed and said to Vegeta. Vegeta glanced at Goku and Luya, then jumped into the time machine arrogantly. Luya, just grab the time machine with me. Wukong looked at Luya. Luya shrugged and said that he had no opinion, it was just a momentary thing anyway. Boom boom boom. Immediately afterwards, under the operation of Trunks, the time machine started and slowly lifted off into the air. Wukong and Luya jumped up and grabbed the tripod. Hurry up, we're going, Trunks said suddenly. The time machine trembled violently, and then, a cloud of white light enveloped the time machine. Just when the time machine was about to travel, a mutation suddenly occurred. Call out. A terrifying light lacing came. The target is directed at Luya and the others. What? Not good. Trunks and Goku exclaimed at the same time. But it was already too late, and at the moment when the energy was about to hit the time machine, Luya suddenly let go of his hand and directly blocked the light. However, the time machine has started. Luya, hurry up and catch it. Wukong's face changed, and he was about to speak, but the next moment, the light machine directly turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Luya. Nima, it's not over yet. Luya snorted lowly and directly dissipated the energy. Immediately he turned his attention to the initiator. At this moment, a scarred creature was standing in the distance, looking at him with a fierce look. Zamaz, not dead yet. Luya frowned. Human, you can't go. At this time, Zamaz, who was not like a ghost, looked at Luya with a grim expression. Luya sneered. You are despicable enough to take this opportunity to keep us. Ha ha ha, it's a pity that I can only keep you. But, I will definitely kill you. Zamaz said with a grim expression. It's so pitiful, but since you're not dead, let's get rid of you before leaving. Luya smiled coldly. It's not that he can't leave. On the contrary, he can use the power of angels to forcefully travel through time and space, but he must solve the scourge of Zamaz. Otherwise, when he returns to the peak, this universe is afraid that it will end. Thinking of this, Luya took out a fairy bean and ate it. In less than 2 seconds, Luya's state recovered, and it became a lot stronger. After this battle, his strength has increased too much. Damn, humans, even if you defeat me, you can't leave. What's more, you can't win against me. Zamaz growled. Luya sneered. I can't go. It's not you who has the final say. On the contrary, you are no longer immortal. As long as I solve you, you will not be able to resurrect. Through the system, he has detected that every time the opponent recovers, the strength will decrease. So, as long as you completely kill the opponent, you can win. Boom. The surface suddenly burst, and the entire Earth was suddenly on the verge of destruction. Earth is about to explode. Luya's eyes narrowed, and then he looked at Zamaz. Quickly fight. Boom. The next moment, Luya directly transformed into Super Saiyan Red. Although the opponent's strength has declined, it is not so simple to defeat him. Chi. Zamaz's face twisted, then roared, and his body rushed out. The place where he was standing was shaken by the anti-shock force. Come on, Luya shouted, turning into a red glow and rushing directly to Zamaz. Bump. The two collided with each other, but the next second Luya's figure was directly backwards. Sure enough, he couldn't suppress his opponent without using the King's Fist. However, Luya is familiar with the opponent's tricks while dodging the opponent's attack. Zamaz's fighting style at this time was already messed up, and he was extremely annoyed by his repeated failures. At this time, he only wanted to keep Luya, a human who got in the way. Bump. Swish. Luya performed teleportation at the moment he was repelled by Zamaz, and he appeared behind Zamaz in the next moment. An energy bomb in the palm of the hand directly condenses. However, Zamaz obviously didn't cover it, and he quickly reacted. He didn't turn his backhand, but directly grabbed Luya's hand and deflected the energy bomb. The next second, Zamaz directly threw Luya a few times. The circle is thrown directly. Boom. The earth cracked directly. Zamaz seized the opportunity and directly released an energy bomb, which instantly slammed into the ground. Boom. Under the huge explosion, the already damaged earth directly intensified its destruction, and countless magma spurted out. And Luya's figure is also submerged. Zamaz gasped slightly. He didn't have Luya's fairy beans, so his power output was a little less. Although his current power is still very terrifying, his state is not very good. He has lost his divine body and has no immortality. His nerves are very sensitive now, and his body is gradually becoming weaker. So if he was hit hard, it would seriously hurt him. Suddenly, Zamaz's eyes narrowed, and then he saw a red ball of light slowly rising from the magma, and Luya's figure was wrapped in it. Tisk. Zamasu's face suddenly darkened. Luya breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he responded quickly, otherwise he would be roasted. The mask dissipated and turned into red light to wrap himself around. Luya looked at Zamaz and said, "Come again." "Damn!" Zamaz roared, and a huge force spread out immediately. The earth trembled, and the gravel flew. Luya's eyes condensed. The next moment, he directly lifted his breath. His strength increased again, the next second. King Fist. Boom. In an instant, his strength doubled directly and charged directly towards Zamaz. Ah! Zamaz condensed energy bullets in his hands and kept firing towards Luya. Luya dodged nimbly, and at the same time kept approaching Zamaz. Turtle, pie. Go to hell. Zamaz roared to increase the firepower. The firepower was more intensive, and the speed was faster. But Luya seemed to be able to predict the opponent's attack trajectory. His body twisted, and he avoided the attack directly. Chi. Swish. At the same time, Luya has condensed a terrifying energy wave. What? How is it possible? Zamasu's face changed greatly, but Luya had already reached him. Gong. Ha. Luya pushed out the Qigong wave with all his strength, and suddenly a terrifying Qigong wave shot out. Ah! Zamaz could only let out a scream and was submerged in the Qigong wave at the same time, but he was still desperately resisting. A black shield formed to protect his body, but there were constant cracks appearing. Luya gritted his teeth, his muscles burst out, roared, and went straight to full power. Boom! Crack! How is that possible? Zamasu's shield was shattered at this moment, and his body was baptized by turtle Qigong. Bang! Bang! In the next second, Zamasu's earrings suddenly shattered, and his figure also changed at this moment. Gradually melt. In the end, with a meteor-like light, Zamath was directly brought into the distance. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and for a while, it seemed that the whole earth was shaking. Luya raised his head and glanced at the sky. At this time, the originally dark sky had a twilight-like color, which was a sign that the world was about to be destroyed. About to explode. Luya glanced into the distance, then disappeared in the next instant, and he appeared directly in a huge pit. In the giant pit, Zamaz was lying on the ground, in a state of embarrassment. But at this time, Zamasu is no longer Zamasu who merged with Black Goku, but Zamasu, the king of the realm. Luya's blow directly shattered the earrings and forcibly separated the two. The other party has an immortal body, so he survived. But Black Wukong didn't have such good luck. The opponent's body was seriously damaged, and now it has been completely wiped out. How could it be possible? How could I possibly lose? Zamaz lay on the ground and let out a harsh laugh, but with sadness. Luya glanced at the other party, and then said, "You underestimate human beings. You can't destroy them if you want to destroy them." Damn it, humans. You wait for me, I will definitely take revenge. Zamasu's face suddenly turned hideous, and then, the ring on his hand suddenly lit up. Puff. But the next moment, Luya appeared in front of Zamaz in an instant when he used the flash, and the air blade condensed in his hand directly slashed Zamaz's arm. Call out. Bang. At the same time, a light wave of Luya directly destroyed the ring and the arm. Chapter 119_Destroy Zamasu. Return. With Luya destroying the arm, Zamaz's face turned pale. Stop. The destruction of the ring means that he can no longer travel through time and space, so that he cannot realize his wish. He can't travel through time and space, even if he has an immortal body, it is difficult to change the future he expects. However, Zamaz's undead body is still very powerful. The next second Luya destroyed his arm, Zamaz's arm grew out again. But the space-time ring is gone. It's over, Luya whispered. Zamaz stood up struggling, and then he said fiercely, "Impossible. I have the body of immortality, and it is absolutely impossible for you to kill me." Luya smiled lightly. Really? What if it is the power of God of destruction? What? Zamath was shocked. The next second, his face suddenly became terrified, because Luya slowly raised his hand at this time, and suddenly, a terrifying energy ball was condensed. That energy ball was not an ordinary energy ball, but a destructive energy. Seeing the sabotage bomb, Zamasu's face turned green. How is that possible? How can you have the power of the god of destruction? Could it be that Beerus gave it to you? Luya said lightly. You don't need to know who gave it to me, you just need to know, you'll be gone in a while. Zamaz's face was ugly. He roared, impossible. I will never let you succeed. Never try to kill me. After he finished speaking, he suddenly burst out with a powerful force. Suddenly, the entire crater began to expand. At the same time, under the influence of Zamasu's power, the entire earth began to fall apart, aggravating the earth's demise. You lunatic! Luya snorted coldly, then prepared to throw the sabotage bomb at Zamaz. Ha ha ha, it's too late. Even if you can kill me, you can't escape. The whole earth, including you, will be buried with me. Zamaz's face suddenly became crazy. The next moment, his body suddenly changed. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying force erupted from his body, and Zamasu's entire body immediately turned into blood energy, rising into the sky like a waterfall. What? Luya was shocked. He didn't expect the other party to resist like this, which made him a little unbelievable. With the eruption of that power, in an instant, the entire earth cracked open, and countless magma erupted. It seems that it is enough to destroy the entire earth at any time. Luya snorted coldly, and the next second, the entire time and space suddenly froze, and then Luya shot the destruction projectile in his hand directly. Although Zamaz has the idea of perishing together, it is inevitable that he will be lucky because of his immortality, so now he can only directly destroy it. The destructive bullet was directly integrated into the blood column, and the blood column vibrated directly in the next second, dissipating from bottom to top as a light spot. I won't want to lose. Zamaz's roaring voice came out. The blood column suddenly turned into a human face. It was Zamaz's face, but it was very quick. He transformed into a light spot and dissipated. Under destruction, nothing remains. Luya breathed a sigh of relief, and finally solved the trouble of Zamaz. Boom! At this moment, a powerful force suddenly attacked, causing Luya's complexion to change, and then his body jumped to dodge directly. The next second, bursts of explosions sounded, and I saw that the whole ground did not break open, and a burst of explosions sounded. Dow magma drilled out of the ground, ruthlessly destroying everything. At the same time, the entire Earth's mountains and rivers collapsed, tsunamis soared into the sky, volcanoes erupted, and the end was coming. It's going to explode. And as soon as this thought came out, immediately, half of the entire Earth exploded. Suddenly, it gradually spread like a fuse. Luya's face changed, and he burst into the atmosphere immediately. System. Use Frieza cells, Luya said quickly. Suddenly, Luya's body was wrapped in a thin layer of red light. System. Use the power of an angel to teleport me back to the real world. Open black lens bracket drop. Use the one-time consumption skill, angel power. Travel through time and space. Close black lens bracket. Just as Luya's voice fell, his body suddenly became illusory, and then, he directly turned into a stream of light and lost out, disappearing into the universe like the speed of light. And soon after Luya disappeared, the Earth exploded directly, and the terrifying explosion was in the vast universe, but it was inconspicuous, but it was the real destruction of the planet. The Earth of the future world has disappeared. After an unknown time, a figure suddenly appeared in the field. He glanced at the direction of the original Earth, and then revealed a strange and mysterious arc. It's late. It's a pity. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. On the other hand, the real world. In the space capsule, Wukong and others were in a state of embarrassment, but their state had recovered. After they came back, they immediately ate fairy beans, so they all returned to their peak state. Why isn't Bulma bad? Wukong was a little worried. Trunks said, even if it is to collect a barrel of fuel, it will take a few days at the earliest. Now that the time has not passed a few days, it is unrealistic to obtain fuel. But Luya is still in the future, If he doesn't help, he may die. Wukong said solemnly. Oh, now the Kaiwangshan and the others have gone to Lord Quanlong for a meeting, so they won't be able to come back in a short time. Weiss said faintly. Then what should I do now? If I don't go to the future world quickly, Luya may not be able to come back. Wukong frowned. That bastard Zamaz. It's so difficult. You can't die like this. Lord Weiss, you should be able to use the time travel to take us to the future, right? Vegeta suddenly looked at Weiss and asked. No, Weiss smiled. Why, Weiss, you are an angel. Wukong asked suspiciously. Weiss shook his head. Angels are not omnipotent, and we are also restricted by rules. Some things should not be done in the first place. Without specific permission, angels distort time and space at will, which will be punished very severely. What? Don't you use time travel often? Wukong protested. That's different. The wind is so tight now that this kind of thing happened. Lord Quanlong already knew about it, so he held a meeting of the realm gods and started to rectify it. If the angels and us gods of destruction committed crimes against the wind, the consequences would be very serious. Beerus said lightly. How could this be? Wukong felt a little regretful. Don't worry, according to what you said, Luya's current strength doesn't have to be afraid of Zamaz, maybe he can destroy Zamaz. Wes suddenly said. That's what I said, but without us picking him up, wouldn't he have to stay there all the time? Wukong said worriedly. We can only wait for Bulma to store enough fuel. Vegeta said solemnly. Everyone, fuel is ready. Suddenly, Bulma rushed over with a bottle of fuel. The crowd was instantly overjoyed. So fast. Great Bulma, Wukong said in surprise. If Luya had not reminded me to prepare fuel in advance, it would have taken 2 more days to prepare. Bulma said with a sigh of relief. Great, let's go quickly, Wukong said quickly. But just when they were about to start the time machine, a vortex suddenly appeared in the sky, and then a stream of light fell directly from the vortex, and finally hit the ground not far from everyone. What? Everyone looked over there in shock. That's... Angel Weiss narrowed his eyes slightly, somewhat surprised. Interesting, Beerus said indifferently, but the surprise was there. In the huge pit, Luya stood up, and then he said helplessly, the brakes actually failed, you are not reliable in the system. System? Host, if you want to blame it, you can't control the power of the angels. It's a good thing to be able to come back here. Luya was speechless. Luya, why are you? At this time, Wukong and others rushed over. When I saw Luya, I was surprised and shocked at the same time. How could the other party come back safely from the future world? This unscientific. Where are you all? Luya laughed, a little embarrassed. The question is how did Luya get back? Wukong asked suspiciously. Not only him, but others are also very puzzled. This is a long story, but I have already solved Zamasu. Luya smiled. Really? Awesome, Luya, Wukong praised. But I'm still curious about how you got back. You can't do it through time and space, not even a Super Saiyan Red with divine power. Beerus and Whis walked over, the former said lightly. And then said, I grabbed Zamasu's ring, used it to travel through time and space, and came back. Oh, what about the ring? Beerus said aggressively. Luya complained in his heart, but he said, I didn't grasp it firmly, I lost it, otherwise I wouldn't be so embarrassed. Hearing this, Beerus still looked at Luya with suspicion, while Whis did not speak. After a while, Beerus said indifferently, you better ensure that what you said is correct, otherwise I will find out that you are hiding the space-time ring, and you can't afford the consequences. Luya shrugged. Don't worry, I don't have a space-time ring. They were all destroyed by him, and now there is no evidence of death. How is the future? Although Trunks was prepared, he still wanted to ask. Luya shook his head. It's a pity that the future Earth has been destroyed. I see. As expected, Trunks looked a little sad. Xiao Wu came over, grabbed his hand tightly, and comforted him silently. Okay, now that this crisis is over, let's all be happy, so let's hold a party tomorrow to celebrate the arrival of Trunks and Xiao Wu, how about it? Bulma looked at the awkward atmosphere and quickly came out sound. Hearing this, Beerus and Whis suddenly changed their faces, and they stopped thinking about other things, and quickly said, really? There must be a lot of delicious food. Of course, Bulma said proudly. Excellent. Compared to the excitement of Beerus and Whis, Vegeta and the others twitched at the corners of their mouths. Nima, the party is about to become their nightmare now. P.S. There are quite a lot of trolls recently. Most of them are underage. I'm convinced. I need your consent to change the text. Naturally, there are friends who can read it. I can only say whatever you want. You can just spray it. I don't care. Some people want the original plot. Nima blames me for the magic change. I TM the magic change and say I haven't seen Dragon Ball. I'm used to you, troll, is it? In addition, many readers and friends are going to debut in the Super 4. Don't be impatient. I will release it in my lifetime, and I will make some changes at that time, so be patient. Chapter 120 Get Time Travel Skills. Travel through parallel worlds. Luya did not miss the party, and at the same time briefly explained his escape from danger. Of course, he missed some details, otherwise he would be acting a little too much. After listening to Luya's words, everyone was amazed. Of course, in the end, Luya successfully solved Zamasu, and they were also very happy. Although the future Earth has perished, they defeated a powerful enemy anyway. At the same time, everyone also knows that the current Luya will be stronger than Wukong in the future, and he is the #1 person on Earth. Soon, the party was over, the crisis was over, and everyone went back. Luya bid farewell to Wukong and others and returned to his residence. This time, it was really a little risky, and I almost exposed myself. Luya breathed a sigh of relief, a little helpless. He had to find a way to make his ability a natural phenomenon in everyone's eyes, otherwise he might not be able to use his hands and feet. Thinking of this, Luya suddenly woke up and said, by the way, I defeated Zama's system, will you issue a reward? And as soon as he finished speaking, the system voice came out. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for completing the task of defeating Zamath. Now awarding awards. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Reward the host for the ability to travel through time and space. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. The host will be rewarded with 2 billion combat power points. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Reward the host with the ability to have a one-time immortal body, which is equivalent to having 2 lives. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Rewards the host World King Fist increase multiplier +5, currently 25 times. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Reward the host to eliminate Kaiwang Fist load +10%. Close black lens bracket. Note, because the host uses Kaiwang Fist many times in a short period of time, the load value generated is 30%. Now it is offset by 10%. Hearing this, Luya was stunned for a moment, and then he took out his interface. When he saw the 4 characters of, traveling through time and space, he was suddenly stunned. System, do you mean that I can travel through time and space? System, yes. Luya suddenly became excited. Then can't I travel to the past and the future at will? Is there another time and space? System, it should be possible. Luya, I said, can you give me a reliable word? System, host, the rewards triggered by this system are not the will of this system, but are randomly distributed according to various factors of the host's completion of the task. But this system needs to remind you that although you have obtained the ability to travel through time and space, the host uses you need to be cautious, because using time and space travel requires a strong will to control your brain. If you make a slight mistake, you may be involved in the turbulence of time and space. As for where you are exiled, it all depends on the host's luck. Luya nodded understandingly. Understood. One more thing, if the host is detected by a master at the angel level or above, it may be cold, so the host should use it with caution. This system does not want to eat, because I can't eat it. The system said lightly. Luya, hee, it's really not funny. Duo bamboo shoots, is this system manually operated? Without thinking much, Luya suddenly had a thought, and then his body became illusory. Walking through time and space, I wonder if it can be faster than teleportation. Luya said, and suddenly disappeared. At the same time, on a certain planet, a space split open, and then Luya's figure appeared in the air. This is a hot pot star. Luya looked at the slightly familiar place, and suddenly said in surprise. He actually came here directly, and he still thought and went wherever he wanted. Travel through time. Thinking of this, Luya suddenly thought again, and then, he came to the Earth 10 years ago. Looking at a messy city, Luya frowned, but soon, he disappeared again. When he reappeared, he had returned to his residence. And just when he stopped, suddenly, the system's voice sounded. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for using time travel, proficiency +5. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. The host triggers the system task. Mission content. Make 5 crossings. Travel through the location. The Earth of the Dragon Ball story. Every time you cross, you must defeat the corresponding enemy. Time limit is 1 month. Close black lens bracket. Luya was a little stunned, and then he said, that, travel through the Dragon Ball world. System. Yes host. Luya was speechless. Why don't you say let me guest star in the plot? System. The host is satisfied. Luya thought about it, and then said, I don't know if I can travel to my world. System. The host can try. Luya thought about it for a while, but he still didn't try it. Although he said that he was a traveler, he had a very weak relationship with his parents, because his parents worked outside all the year round, and they were indifferent to him, so he became a otaku, don't want to go out, feel a little autistic. But when he came here, he has obviously changed a lot. Not to mention his commotion, he is still awesome, and he doesn't have a very sense of belonging to the original world. You mean, I can travel to another time and space, that is, in the Dragon Ball series to defeat those villains? Luya confirmed again. System. Yes. What if I refuse this task? Luya said suddenly. System. If the host does not complete the task issued by the system will terminate the host's task issuance until the host completes the corresponding task. Of course, if the situation is serious, the system will give severe punishment. What punishment? Luya said quickly. Unknown. Does the host want to try it? The system said ruthlessly. Okay then. Luya shrugged and could only go once. After dealing with the relevant matters, 2 days have passed, and Luya left this world. At the same time, Weiss, who had already returned, suddenly felt a sense of it. He glanced at the crystal ball of his scepter, and didn't know what he saw, but there was a glimmer of light in his eyes. Call. At this time, a strong wind hit, and Weiss didn't look at it at all, and raised his hand to block a fist. Weiss, what's wrong? Why are you distracted? Wukong asked curiously. On the other hand, Vegeta did not continue to attack, but found something strange about Whis. It turned out that after the meeting, the two of them realized something, so they practiced with Weiss and prepared to further improve themselves. Weiss shook his head. No, just something interesting happened, don't worry about it. Is that so? Wukong retracted his fist. Didn't care about anything else, but looked at Goku and Vegeta. Not bad, through this showdown with Zamasu, your power has indeed improved a lot, but it's just a simple increase in power, but you don't fight. Skills and their own shortcomings are improved, but there are still some shortcomings. Quote. Oh, so how do we change it? Wukong asked. Weiss said, Goku, you are like this, your requirements for yourself are high on the surface, but the details are not enough. You only want a powerful opponent, and it is not enough to use it to improve yourself. Vegeta is also, I told you a long time ago. However, the control of your own mind should not be too relaxed or too tight. The two of you are just the opposite, but you are both successful, so your strength will soon reach the upper limit, and you cannot go further. You have to learn to be in harmony with each other. 1. Don't have too many distractions during the battle. Pause, Weiss said. For this, Luya has done a good job. Luya, Goku and Vegeta were stunned for a moment, a little puzzled. Weiss nodded. I helped him practice for a while, and the reason why he was able to transform into the next step of the Super Saiyan God was because he was madly practicing the unification of mind and body, so he finally stimulated his potential. A further breakthrough in Super Saiyan Red, which is different from your Super Saiyan Blue. Blue Yada, is that what he did? Wukong's eyes shone with light, a little excited. It's true, but his road is wider than yours. After you reach the Super Saiyan Blue, it is very difficult to go further, but the Super Saiyan Red is different. Luya has a very large room for improvement. His power, sooner or later, will reach a height that you can't catch up. Weiss nodded. How is that possible? Vegeta said through gritted teeth. Whis' words undoubtedly gave him a very big blow. He is a dignified Prince Vegeta and must not be the third child. Is there a more powerful realm beyond Super Saiyan Blue? Goku asked seriously. Whis smiled mysteriously, and then made a riddle. You will know this later. Maybe if you are more diligent, it is not impossible to surpass Lord Beerus. Hearing this, the two of them were shocked and looked forward to it. They really know how powerful Beerus is. It can be said that their Super Blue is far from his opponent, so how much they want to reach that level. For a time, the two were in high spirits. Time passed quietly. In the days when Luya left, the plot of this world continued as usual, and the day of the power conference was getting closer and closer. Of course, Goku's urging is indispensable in this, and it can be said that Beerus has the heart to strangle him. On the other side, in the sky of a certain planet, it suddenly cracked, and then, Luya's figure appeared in the field. When he appeared, Luya was a little surprised, and then he glanced around at the familiar scene. Open black lens bracket drop. The host successfully signed into planet Namek. The mission is officially opened, and the deadline is counting down. Close black lens bracket. System, here, is the Namek planet. Luya was taken aback asked. System, yes host. You have come to the plot of the parallel world Dragon Ball. I wish you all the best in the future. Luya thought for a while, then felt his own situation, and suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, his strength is still there, so he can pretend to be forced. But I just don't know, if he can travel through the Dragon Ball world, can he travel through Pirates and Naruto world? Call out. Suddenly, a ray of light shot directly towards Luya. Interrupted his train of thought. The latter was startled, and immediately reached out and blocked it. Looking at the light that was under his control, Luya was stunned for a moment, then grabbed it hard and grabbed it directly. At the same time, several strange-looking aliens flew towards him. Luya saw their appearance clearly and couldn't help but rejoice. Isn't this the Ginyu team? P.S. Test the water and see if you can develop a crossing route. The power meeting goes on as usual. In fact, I have no brains, and writing books is purely self-inflicted. I am so magically changing the plot, and I am ready to accept your complaints, but I still have to declare that I am not only writing books to please readers. Watching Dragon Ball, passionate blood, I have to sometimes substitute myself into the plot, so I have this kind of inspiration to let me write this book. You complain about yours, and I write mine. Of course, if it is a sincere suggestion, I will still accept it, as long as the tone is not particularly aggressive. For example, I can take some factors into it to suggest which direction the plot should develop. Some friends say that everyone has seen Dragon Ball. Don't use your own cognition to set a book to death. If you are unhappy, you can write a book yourself. I've been busy in a few days, like on the 15th, helping others with their work, getting rich, and seeing beautiful women. Isn't it beautiful?